Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Impromptu late night stream with Swaggle. I just decided, hey, let me turn on the camera tonight. Didn't really have any plans, didn't really have any expectations, but figure, we're at 10K and we kind of did a live stream the other day, like the 10K, or we had a claim sale essentially, and we kind of did a live stream there, and we, sold some books and did that, and it was sort of like a 10K hangout. But I figured, hey, let me just turn on the camera and we'll do a little stream tonight. So no expectations, no plans. Hopefully that's okay with you guys. But I figured, like, hey, we could just hang out a bit, talk some comic books. Maybe we can talk about the news. We can just read the chat, just do some Q&A, an AMA. We can go over some new stuff. I didn't prepare much, but I kind of prepared some things in case it got really boring and we needed to talk about some topics and stuff. So we can kind of go through some of that stuff, and I don't know, maybe it'll be interesting. I don't know. We'll see. But let's kind of check in, just see. Some people are here, so that's pretty cool. I again, this was like really impromptu, so I didn't know if anyone would show up or how long we'll go or how long we'll hang out. But there's a couple people here. So what's up, Swag? What's going on? Old school MTG JM. Is MTG like Magic the Gathering? Is that what that is? AV Vienna. Hey, Swaggle, big fan of your videos. Hope I can get the first question in. I always notice the Emmy in the background. What's the story with that? Inquiring minds want to know. Yeah, this is funny because I've never done a Q&A type of thing, and I've been on some other channels where I had some little interview stuff, and funny enough, I've answered that question on those other channels, but I've never actually answered it on this channel. So if you've never seen those videos, you would actually never know. So yeah, you can see right there, I got an Emmy in the background, and it's a real Emmy. Yeah, in my life outside of YouTube, I work in film and television, and so I direct a lot of commercials. I used to direct a lot of music videos, and I do a lot of screenwriting as well. And in 2018, I did a commercial campaign for Nickelodeon, and it won an Emmy. The campaign won an Emmy for the spots I did and all this stuff. Excuse me. And I had no idea that they even gave out Emmys for that reason. So I was pleasantly surprised. It wasn't like it's not the type of Emmy that they give out on the award show. This is off air type of awards. So I did a commercial campaign, and it was pretty cool. And actually, ironically, was kind of like a little superhero type of thing. Not the coolest thing I've ever directed, not the coolest thing I've ever made, but I won that award. And apparently, the other thing too is they don't give you an Emmy. You have to buy it from the Emmys themselves. So I bought it from the Emmys, or they charged me. And so actually, guess what the price is? It's not that cheap, but it's also it was kind of expensive actually. Depends on your budget, but it's I don't get this for free. All right, whatever. For Pete's sake, what's up? What's going on, man? Sindane, ahoy, Swag. What's going on with Sindane? Hey, if you guys don't know, Sindane's got a great YouTube channel as well. Definitely go check him out. He's got some great videos. He's got some good unboxings and stuff. Picking up some good comics. So it's always nice seeing his videos and stuff. Ryan, what's going on, man? Good to see you, man. Ivan, love the content, man. Keep doing your thing. Thanks, Ivan. Appreciate that. Trilogy, 10K, big day. Yeah, good. Thanks for stopping by. Let's see who else. Jason, what's going on? Hey, Jason. Hey, Swag. Tony here. Howdy. We got Guardsy in the chat. Hello from Ontario, Canada. Old school Magic the Gathering. Yeah, it is. So it is Magic the Gathering. Okay, cool. Okay. And Sindane also plays. I'm playing Magic the Gathering Arena right now. Oh, that's really cool too. Actually, so I mentioned in my work life, I work on commercials and videos, and I direct, and I also write. I do a lot of writing for Wizards of the Coast. I probably can't talk about it too much because that would be breaking the NDA. But if you're a Magic the Gathering fan, I've done a lot of work for them. Super Mighty Mega, Kamusta all. Yeah, Here, here. An Emmy is an Emmy. Yeah, Tony, that's what I'm saying. An Emmy is an Emmy. They'll never take it away from me. This is it's the real deal. So yeah, it's for sure a real Emmy. So that does make it kind of cool. That Little Dicky video, yeah, yeah, Little Dicky, he's a crazy dude. I mean, he's super, super talented. And if you've ever watched his show on FX, he literally is that. So take that what you will for him. But yeah, he is a character, super funny, super talented. But yeah, he's exactly who he is on that show. Lad, what's going on, man? Good to see you, man. You're getting close to the first 100 Avengers. What is the next collecting goal? Yeah, I'm close in the sense that for sure I've gotten most of the big keys, the hardest books to get. There's still a few. I still need to get First Vision, and that's going to be a book that I'm definitely looking for right now. Is there other books? There's not too many other big keys that I need to get. I mean, I still have a bunch of run fillers that I need to pick up. Probably where am I at? I think last time I checked my seals, I'm probably 55 of 100. So, I'm only halfway there, but all the stuff is run filler that I need to pick up. So, I'm getting close. For sure, I'm getting close. After I hit my 100 Avengers books, what would I collect next? I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what I would be into. I see Como is in the chat. We're going to get there. But actually, speaking of Como, what I might collect next is I'm really starting to get into that pre-code horror stuff. So I might have some goals early Tales to Astonish stuff or early Strange Tales, pre-superhero stuff. That's really starting to interest me a little bit. So I'm not ready to say that that's going to be my next goal, but it could be my next goal. Crispy Comments, congrats on 10K. Yeah, thanks, Crispy. Really appreciate that. Tony, sorry for the dumb question, but do you own any DC comics? Well, funny you should say that, Tony. Funny you should say that, because I did pull a couple books that not that I bought all of them recently, although this book I did buy recently. And are you ready for this, guys? A little new comic to the Swaggle collection. Teen Titans, annual number 2, first appearance of Vigilante. Yes, sir. I was at the LCS. When was it? On Sunday? Yeah, I was at the LCS on Sunday. I was flipping through the bins and I saw this one priced at $15. And I said, for $15, 100%, I'm going to be picking this book up right there. I really, really have enjoyed Peacemaker. I thought James Gunn stuck the landing for sure with the show. And, I was converted into a Vigilante fan. So I definitely had to pick up this book. And there you go. It is a DC book. I have a couple DC books. I have some Batman stuff from when I was, younger, Copper Age Batman stuff. I would love to get some Batman Golden Age things. I'm just kind of looking for what would be the right book for me to pick up. But yeah, this one I'm really excited to have. I mean, what did you guys think about Peacemaker? Overall, I mean, I thought the Vigilante character was so hilarious. I mean, it was very, very Deadpool. And I know nothing about the George Perez version of Vigilante, so I have no idea what his persona is. But I really, really liked what they did with the show with it. And yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm gonna do more DC collecting after this. Yeah, the show was amazing. There's Como. What's going on, man? What's good? Matt, what's going on? Hello, congrats on 10K. Thank you so much. Sindane, what grade did you get on your FF49 and 50? Oh, my FF49 right behind my head right there is a 3.0, and I am totally happy with that. I mentioned it when I did my CGC unboxing video. I did mention when I bought it raw, the dealer had it marked at a VG minus. So I guess by grade standards, that would have been a 3.5, but I was happy that it was 3.0. For me, I just wanted to hit that 3.0 marker. So happy about that. Oh snap. Is that talking about the pre-code horror stuff? Michael Murphy, Red Room. I don't know what the Red Room means. when do you think it's worth sending out a book to be graded from a monetary current value perspective? Over 300, over 500 current auction, etc. Not in love with some of them, but it seems much easier to sell. Yeah. Well, this is a good question, Tom. And it is like, it's almost video worthy in itself. And again, like I'm not, the CGC expert or the graded book expert. I can only speak from my perspective when it comes to this type of thing. But definitely you have to back in the grading fees. Like you have to think about, okay, what did you buy the book for? So whatever that price is. And then you got to consider the grading fees, and on top of like the fees that it costs to ship it there and back. And then presumably you're going to get the book pressed, or maybe you're going to get pressed. And so that's another fee as well. So once you like add in all those fees, you kind of have to decide like, okay, like how much am I in this book for? Like how much money have I put into this? And if the value that the book is at like a presumable grade that you're going to get is not equal to or less than or not that much more than whatever you're already into the book for, it's probably not worth getting it graded. And then the other thing is too, is like, if you just have it for yourself, like if it's just for the PC, like, is it worth grading the book? Because, I sent in all the books that I had in my CGC unboxing, and, I don't remember off the top of what it cost, but it like, costs like $600 or $700 or whatever the case is. And it's sort of like, that's money that I'm not going to get back. Right. Because all the books I'm sending in are just for my PC. So it's just like it's a cost that may not be worth it. So you have to factor in all those equations as well. And then to your last point, and maybe you guys in the chat can also weigh in on this, in a way it's easier to sell, but then there's going to be less potential buyers once you get to a certain price point. So like I have like, here, I got this book right here. Like, what is this? Pull it up. Nope, can't find it. Told you guys, this is like impromptu, so it's not fully prepared, but I got this book right here, right? This one was one of the ones I got back. It was the CGC 9.0 Marvel Spotlight 6. This is the second Ghost Rider. So like the last sale on this book was $1,070. And it's like, cool. Like that's the market value, or like that's the last sale price for this. And it, on the one hand, in theory, this book should be easier for me to sell because it's now graded. But because we're talking about, a 4-figure book now, it's actually kind of harder to sell it because I got to find the right person who wants to buy it. Whereas like, let's say I had this in the raw form and it was like a $220 book or whatever it goes for on eBay. Like that's so much easier to sell. People get like, iffy around that like $200 price point window. I think like it's easy for someone to buy $100 book, but once you get to like 200 and up, then I think it's harder to find those buyers. With Matt Murdock being in the new Spider-Man, what kind of role do you think he'll have in the MCU? I mean, I think he's going to have a big role, like overall. I mean, because when you think about like the MCU and like who the faces of the movies are going to be, like they got to replace like the Tony Stark and they got to replace like the Captain America. And unfortunately, I think Black Panther would have been that perfect kind of tier character to really slot into that. But, obviously with Chadwick Boseman's passing, like, things are going to change and who really knows what they're going to do. But it feels like Daredevil is like a premier character who a lot of storyline, I would imagine, is going to go through him, at least on the street level and the earth side level. So I would imagine he has a big role, kind of like how, but then again, it's not like Daredevil is the leader of the Avengers. So I would just imagine a role akin to like a Spider-Man as far as like level is concerned. I mean, maybe he's only going to have a Disney Plus show, but it feels like he's a bigger character than Disney Plus worthy. It feels like he can have a movie that's like a Daredevil movie franchise. And maybe they just have to put like characters like Punisher and stuff in with it to hype it all up. Atlas Pre-Hero is awesome. Yeah, I'm I'm eyeing all those covers. So I'm getting pretty excited about actually, I'm getting fearful about the potential of picking up some of those books because yeah, as Jason's going to say right here, pre-code horror is money. I might have to bring home some 245s. Yeah, for sure. Like some of the prices on that stuff is crazy, and it's really hard too because I don't know what it is. Like people in the Silver Age obviously treated their comics poorly, but people in the golden age in that like 50s era time, like every book I come across is like, 1.0, 0.5, whatever the case is. Your top row is all slab now. Are you grading the PC now or just buying? Are you grading the PC now or just buying? No, I mean, I graded some of the PC books, and for me, like that's kind of enough. Like I wanted to send in a certain kind of books for the YouTube channel. It's like CGC unboxing is always good content anyways, right? And it's just kind of like fun to watch, and it's good for me even to send it in and just learn the grading, and nothing beats like I'm very familiar with the books that I sent in. So for me, it's like, okay, yes, I can 100% say that is the grade that this book was, or my thought of what I thought the grade was turned out to be true or turned out not to be true, or whatever the case is. So it's just a good practice. I'm probably not going to send in too many more books in the future, or at least not for the time being. I mean, you never say never. I don't currently have that many books in the PC that I'm trying to get graded. No, leave all the PCH for me. It's too expensive as it. Yeah, for sure. Viper. I'll do this. I'll tell you what, I won't make videos about it. We won't, we're not going to have the YouTubers hype it up. That's the best way to do it. Old school. I'm currently collecting pre-code 30s, 40s detective comics. Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of, like, you guys know, I'm not like the biggest DC person, but it's not because I'm against DC or anything, but the golden age DC stuff, like just aesthetically, like for sure, I'm super into it. Like I love like the yellow covers of like the Batmans and the detective comics and stuff. So that's other stuff that I would be interested to have. Like maybe not too many, but I think having a tasteful amount of like, golden age Batman stuff to just sprinkle in the collection would be nice to get eventually. Yeah, Vigilante was great. Yeah, James Gunn did a great job. It seems like they're going to do a season 2, so that's awesome. And it's cool. And we're not going to go into spoilers, but like if you guys know the last episode, like those in the chat who did see the last episode, it's cool that they had that thing that happened at the end, because it really does help the DC EU or the DC cinematic universe feel more cohesive and stuff. So that's exciting to like the potential of where it goes from here. Yeah, sorry, I'm behind because I just was rambling. So I know you guys are talking about me holding up the Vigilante book. So I'm just behind in the comments. That was my first DC comic after 20 years of collecting. Yeah, the Vigilante book. Yeah, I'm a part of the club now. It's actually funny because I also was thinking of getting that Vigilante #1 book as well. They had it there, but when I had found this one, I was like, or the Titans one, I was like, all right, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Yeah, great show. The Peacemaker. Have you noticed an increase in physical comics with the rise of VV's NFT comics? I mean, it would be all anecdotal, but no, I don't think the VV market has affected the, say, price of the comic book market. But then again, it's hard to say because we had the peak of the comic market in mid 2021, and then VV's surge I felt like was, well, when did VV come out? I mean, like maybe this year, or excuse me, like say 6 months ago, it started to really like kind of pick up. So it doesn't feel like it's had a exact push into the physical comic space. But excuse me, I would imagine that there's a lot of people who, like, I see VV NFT comics and comic collecting as like almost two different things. I think that there is some crossover for sure, But I do think that there's a large percentage of people that, like the comic book collectors, I think a lot of us are like, what? Why would you want an NFT? That makes no sense. Like, well, you could just buy the physical comic. But I think we don't realize there's a lot of people who don't want to have like boxes of comics. Like they still want to collect stuff. They still love these characters, and the medium of like an NFT or a digital collectible just appeals to them more than that of like having to go to LCS and figure it out. Because the barrier to entry into comic book collecting, I actually think is really, it's a really big barrier, essentially. Like I actually think it's really hard to get into comic books, and it's really hard to navigate. And I think there's a lot of people who it's like, hey, I want to own this key issue. And in NFT form, it's like a lot easier to just say, click and buy, versus like in comic books, like if you want that key issue, it's not that easy to find it. You know, that part of the hunt is like, is part of comic book collecting. And I think there's a lot of people from the more NFT, probably new money, younger audience that just likes the accessibility of having a VV app and being able to hit buy on it. But that wasn't really your question. I don't know if I haven't seen them move in tandem yet. What do you think about Hulk Grand Design by Jim Rugg coming out? I haven't seen, is this Hulk Grand Design, is that like what the Hulk that Donny Cates is working on right now? Like if that's the case, I haven't seen it, but I'm not super familiar with what the Grand Design is. I picked that up after the night I was watching episode 4, I think. Oh, nice. The Vigilante book. The comics Vigilante is 80s gritty and depressing. Okay. So I guess like, what is he kind of like a Punisher type of vibe? I mean, I didn't read the book, but I flipped through the pages and I just kind of read some of the caption bubbles and stuff. And he looked like he had kind of a Punisher vibe. Neil Adams Batman art from the 60s and 70s are dynamite. Yeah, Michael, for sure. That Batman book, I can't remember the number. What's the classic book with the Joker on it and he's holding up the card and it's that Neil Adams cover? That is a DC book I 100% would love to add to the PC. The huge unboxing I did cost $1,200. Yeah, okay. So I think I'm catching up to the chat here. This is like in my commenting on the prices for submissions. And yeah, like it's Sinding, you would know, like you sent in those books, and yeah, it's expensive. Like when you get a bunch of stuff graded. What superhero has been the biggest letdown? What superhero has been the biggest letdown? Well, what do you mean by letdown? I think if we're talking MCU, I mean, it feels like Eternals is the superhero that has been the biggest letdown. Now, I'm someone who thinks that Eternals was definitely not as bad as the reviews make it out to be. It has some problems, and it's not my favorite MCU movie. But in a way, it's been the biggest letdown. I think, honestly, I'm not trying to, get any hate out there, but like, I think the biggest letdown for me, as far as Disney properties, like Marvel properties, has been this last year. I think Falcon and Winter Soldier was my least favorite Marvel thing that came out last year. So that was kind of my letdown, because I was really looking forward to that one. But it just felt like it was weird. It was just weird. Like, I come from the film background and stuff like that, and I just had a lot of issues with the execution of like the show. Like the editing was weird to me, and like the pacing and stuff. Just on a craft level, I just didn't love it. Damn, second Ghost Rider is that much now? Yeah, it's crazy. It's like the last sale and stuff. Tom's, hey Swag, could you speak a little bit about your Filipino heritage? Yeah, sure. I'm half Filipino, half Irish as well. But I may not look it. I don't know. My mom is Filipino, so let's see. She's from Cebu, and came here when she was in her 20s, and met my dad, and they fell in love and had me, and yeah, so that's what it is. So I don't know. Whilce Portacio is a great comic book hero in the Filipino community. He's got that classic Cyclops X Factor cover. So yeah, actually, there were actually a lot of Filipino artists that had a big effect in the history of comic book making. A lot of ghost, what would you call them? Like ghost artists, not ghost writer. What's like the equivalent of a ghost writer, but for artists? Like there was a lot of Filipino artists that would finish off the old school artwork for Marvel and DC comic books. You should see the looks I get when buyers are debating be for $500,000 books. Yeah, but this is actually something Como, even you mentioned this to me, and shout outs to Como, guys. If you guys don't know about his channel, I'm sure you guys do it. Like, I mean, if you've been watching my videos, you've seen Como, but like, hey, he mentioned to me, and he does a lot of shows and stuff and sells, and he talks about like that $200 price point is really the point where it's like, it becomes like you can't just like impulse buy above $200. I mean, maybe you can if you've got like Jeff Bezos pockets or whatever the case may be. But that's that line where it's like, yeah, once it gets above 200, it's really hard to just impulse buy a book. Supposedly Matt Daredevil will be in both She-Hulk and the Echo Disney Plus shows. Yeah, I think you're right, Crispy. That's the rumors for sure, and it definitely feels like that's how they'll bring him in. Kind of do what they do, like when they bring in characters like Black Panther or Spider-Man, like have them be in other established character shows. Although I guess you can't really say that She-Hulk and Echo are established, but you know what I mean? Like Echo's at least been teased already. So that would make sense that Daredevil's a part of those shows and then eventually gets his own big show or whatever the case is. I don't know. Daredevil he's a huge character, but like, I'm just curious will Marvel think of him as a Disney Plus character, or is he a movie title character? I mean, regardless, whatever they do, if they do a movie with him, like Doctor Strange, it's just going to be a massive crossover. Like that's how they do it now, right? Like gone are, I mean, there are some characters that can carry a movie, but like gone are the days where it's like, oh, I'm just going to do whatever. Well, actually, Shang-Chi was that. So I'm going to stop myself. But I think that most movies are going to be event crossover movies where it's like you have Doctor Strange, but like, Wanda's in there. You're going to have maybe some other cameos of other characters and things like that. So maybe if they put Daredevil with a bunch of other people. I hope they bring all the other Netflix stars. I mean, do you hope that they bring Iron Fist? I know a lot of people out there did not like Iron Fist's portrayal. I can count myself among those people. I thought his portrayal was not very engaging, and even with him aside, I thought that particular show, the Iron Fist show, was the worst one of all of them. So hopefully they bring in all the characters like Jessica Jones and all that stuff. I'm down with all those characters, but yeah, we can maybe redo Iron Fist here. Kingpin isn't dead, right? No, nobody's dead. No, nobody is dead in the MCU. Never again is anyone going to be dead in the MCU. I don't really know how this is the thing. They're just going to show it. All they have to do is the next time we see that scene where it's Echo is holding the gun in his face, it's just going to be oh, instead of her shooting him, what she actually did was hold the gun to the side or point it in the air and shoot it up. And then she couldn't do it. She couldn't get herself to actually kill, her what is it? Her uncle or her uncle in name. So I think that's what they'll do with that. Not Iron Fist. Yeah, Crispy is in agreement with me. Future Grails. Red Room. Oh, okay. Red Room by Ed Piskor and Hulk Grand Design by Jim Rugg. I actually don't know those two things. So let me write that down. Actually, what I'm going to do is, because we live in 2022 and I don't write anything down, I'm literally taking a screenshot of your comment so that I can go look it up after the show. Oh, the paper quality. So this is for pre-code code horror. I'm assuming the paper quality was really bad. Let's see. Jonathan, congrats on the 10K swag. Wanted to ask you, I unfortunately need to sell off my comic collection. Cover price has them valued at 12K. What do you think is a fair price to post the collection at? It's hard to say. I mean, you guys, it's going to depend on what you have in your collection. But I think what a lot of people would offer you is a per comic value, like, or dollar value. So like maybe they're going to say, I'll pay you, 50 cents per comic. So if you have like 10,000 comics, they're going to say, I'll pay you like $5,000, whatever. And so you can negotiate like what that per comic value is, that you would want to negotiate with them. Obviously, if you have some mega keys that it's like this one comic alone is worth $10,000, then you have to pluck those out and have that discussion with them. But it really is going to come down to what books you have in your collection, and maybe what you would want to do is just pick out the top dollar amount comics and say, like, let's say you have a couple that are like, $5,000 each, and then you can have that number. So it's like maybe you have 4 of them and it's $20K. And then you have a bunch of other books, and maybe there's some keys in there that's like, have a $100 book here, a $100 book there. But like as part of the deal, you can say, and then I'll give you the rest of the collection for 50 cents per book or whatever. And maybe that's worth it to you, like whatever that number is. So it's really going to depend and what people are going to offer your collection for. I was just going to ask, looks like your slab collection is growing. I just hope your videos don't turn into mostly slab only topics. I like how you must talk about raw comics. Yeah, GC, don't worry. I know Como likes to make fun of me in my conversion to slabs, but again, here's the other thing, that this is a truthful part to me about slabs, is like they take up so much more space than raw comics. And that alone is enough for me to just not want to have everything in my collection slabbed. So, I really do prefer raw. I would always rather buy a raw comic because I'm going to get a better deal. And then if I really want it to be slabbed, I can send it in for grading myself. But again, with that comes risk and stuff. So I don't think you have to worry. I mean, I love raw comic books, so I'm going to be talking about them for sure all the time. It can be in toilet paper and it'd still be cool. I forgot what we were talking about, Michael. So, because I'm just catching up on chat here. What is your favorite PCH cover you've seen so far? Pre-code horror cover. Well, so Tales to Astonish 1. The one where it's like the giant doors and it's like a massive turtle that's like breaking out of it. That's kind of like, I'm not ready to say that I'm going for that book, but that's the book where I'm like, I like that. I like that cover. So that's the one that really, kind of sticks out to me right now. Yeah, because I'm swimming. Oh, right. Trilogy. Yeah. Pre-code horror and crime books are fire right now. Watch for horror magazines to start blazing. Thoughts? Well, I'm still teaching myself about this stuff. The horror magazine, the magazine topic is interesting. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the horror magazines you're referring to are like the superhero magazines. It's the same thing, but it's hard because it's like those, like there's such a bias towards the format of the magazine. Like there's such a bias in terms of like the sizes of them. They don't fit into the comic book boxes and stuff. And I know that's kind of a stupid reason to not collect something, but it is a legitimate reason. And so I think that the magazines, they're just hit and miss for a lot of collectors, but I do think that there's tons of magazines that are undervalued. And I think certain ones will eventually pop off in the market for sure. Thoughts on the Wolverine, Doctor Strange rumors not being Jackman? You think they will go with Taron Egerton and throw us a curveball and bring back Daphne Keane as Laura Kinney? Oh, that would be interesting. I mean, like I've heard the Taron Egerton rumors, and Kingsman is an awesome movie, at least the first one. And I think the second one too was really good. Actually, I don't remember. The first one was epic. And I think he could do great. He seems like an awesome actor. And I like that he's like a shorter guy. Like, I think we need that. We need that Wolverine that's shorter. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I mean, I think that would be cool to do. I have a hard time believing that Wolverine is going to show up in Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness. I do believe that, I bet at one point, Kevin Feige reached out to Hugh Jackman and was like, here's what I think. I think Kevin Feige is trying to get any former Marvel actor he can to cameo in any of these movies. that revolve around the multiverse or whatever. Like I made a video like a year ago talking about just like the predictions of the MCU, and like this is my like my world building screenplay writing background, or at least speaking from this standpoint, where I'm like, to me, I think that one of Feige's big goals is to like canonize the omniverse that is Marvel. And I think what it really would do is make their brand so much stronger. Like if we as fans can recognize that every single Marvel thing that has ever existed in the history of Marvel things is all in theory canon to the MCU, that makes the brand of the MCU even better. Like there's even more reason to watch it. So I do think he has reached out to Hugh Jackman, I would imagine, to be like, hey, do you want to be in Doctor Strange? And it's probably just one of those things where it's like, you know, with these big actors, they're just like, okay, well, like it's cool to be in the movie and it's nice to have a little paycheck to be in the movie. But like when you're someone that at Hugh Jackman's level, it's got to be more than just you kind of giving some fan service. It's got to be like, okay, well, but what am I going to do in the movie? Do I do anything cool? Like, is there anything satisfying about my appearance? And if it really is just like, oh, like we just want to have you, you know, snick at your claws and slice up, you know, a couple demons in the background. Like, I don't think Hugh Jackman's going to want to do that. So I would imagine that we're going to see Hugh Jackman eventually, like maybe in a Secret Wars movie or something like that. But it's got to be the right thing for him. Now, as far as seeing Wolverine in Doctor Strange, period, I just wouldn't expect it. I like, to me, it's like, it feels like it's such a big character that if you don't introduce him in a way that is like satisfying, like just a cheap pop doesn't seem like enough, but I could be wrong. I could totally be wrong. The Laura Kinney thing is interesting. I'm not really sure. I mean, I'd have to look at like, what's that actress doing? Like, is she still like doing stuff? Like, is she like, does her name carry anything into the franchise? If it does, then I would think that you could very likely see her. Can't wait for the new Wolverine and Spider-Man games from Insomniac. Yeah, dude, I love me some Marvel games. I'm Marvel games. Dude, I get so much spec from Marvel games and from animated shows throughout like the history of like all that stuff. Like, and it's really funny because when I think about Moon Knight, a lot of people, I've noticed a lot of people kind of hating on Moon Knight in general, or like not hating on Moon Knight, but I've done some videos about Moon Knight, like, oh, like Moon Knight 1 or Horrify Night. And there's a lot of like people who don't like Moon Knight. But to me, even as someone who like doesn't read a lot of Moon Knight to me has always been like, oh yeah, he's like that character that is always in the video games and he's kind of dope. And I kind of like playing him. And like, I think of Marvel Ultimate Alliance, one of the best games ever. If you guys know Ultimate Alliance, it's a great game, but I played a ton of Moon Knight in Ultimate Alliance. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for those games. I'm sad that the Avengers game was not very good. My LCS has a sign that says, check out all of these physical NFTs. That's pretty good. Let's see here. Yes, those will be sick. I want to see gameplay for Wolverine. Yeah, here we go. It's Kamikaze, what's going on, man? If you guys don't know Kamikaze, make sure you go check out his YouTube channel as well. He's been doing some real great stuff on his YouTube as well. So definitely go check him out. Congrats on 10K. Thank you so much. Yeah, Vigilante Books, man. Vigilante Books. I feel like the book is so undervalued still. This is like an interesting thing because, I mean, it's definitely gone up in value with like the FOMO of the show, or even if you want to call it FOMO. I don't even think we can call it FOMO because it hasn't been like hysteria in the way that like the new Avengers book has. But it's crazy to me that it's like, oh, you can just go buy a copy on eBay right now for $20 or whatever. It's really not that bad at all. So I would wonder if maybe when we get season 2, I wonder if that book's going to continue to go up. I think it will, actually. I think it will. What Marvel books are you currently reading? A few, actually. I've been reading the Kate's run on Hulk, which has been, you know, it's Donny Cates ish. I'm reading the Kyle Higgins Darkhawk one. Yeah, that's me. You know, I'm reading Darkhawk. I had bought the Kang series, the limited series for Kang, and I hadn't read it yet. But it's my next one that I need to read. I need to catch up. I sometimes it's nice to like collect all of the limited series and then just read them in one shot, as opposed to whatever it is, like every other week getting the new one. 251. That's the one, the Neil Adams one. I love the cover of his first solo series. Which one was this? Is that Vigilante? I don't even want to talk about grading fees I spent last year. Yeah. I've actually started to like to me, it's like, I want to actually sell this book just to pay the grading fees. And then I will be like, in the green or clear with like everything else that was a cost to be graded. So, part of it to me actually, and this is, I wonder if you guys do this too, is like when you send in the books, to me, I'm just like, all right, which one of these books is going to be my book that pays for this entire process that I'm not going to be mad at, that I let go. Tony, agree with Returns. Yeah. I think, not a perfect movie, but, not as bad, I think, as the reviews were. Who would you cast for Chris Powell Darkhawk? Who would I cast for Chris Powell Darkhawk? I don't know. I haven't really thought about that one. I feel like, Darkhawk is like, they basically took like Peter Parker and put him into, like, they took all of the character beats that exist with Peter Parker and put him into Darkhawk. Like, that's really the essence that he is, except he's like maybe a little cooler than Peter Parker is. So it's like maybe a cooler version of Tom Holland. Timothy Chalamet is a cooler Tom Holland to me. There you go. Let's go with him. It was woke. Eternal. Well, look, this is one of those things where it's interesting because it's like, I don't really like get into this stuff on my channel when we get into like the sort of culture aspects or like the politics of the things and all that stuff. And to me, it's like, it's like they clearly they wanted to make a film that like incorporates, some. Marvel is a brand, right? They're trying to go global. They want to get all different audiences. There's reasons why they're like, hey, we really need to get like, we don't have a character that represents this country. We don't have a character that represents this faction, all this stuff. So like, yeah, of course they're going to make a movie that tries to do that. And I don't think they index too hard on it. I just think that the movie just executionally just wasn't up to snuff. I think that ultimately was the problem with it. I've gone back to Raw Myler fullback. Yeah, Raw Myler fullback, dude, looks great, man. Like all the comics I have back here are all Raw Myler fullback, and they present great. There's like that meme that has Steve Carell on it, where it's like my comic book in a bag, my comic book in a Mylar bag, and it's so true. I think it was re-edited because of certain conditions. Oh, wait a minute. You were saying it was woke about Falcon and Winter Soldier. Yeah, it had the political thing too, but like, whatever, it's fine. All of that stuff doesn't matter as long as the execution is good, as long, like, who cares? Like, I'm actually, this is funny. I talked about the Emmy thing. I'm on like another YouTube channel, a filmmaking YouTube channel, and it's an interview about filmmaking. And one of the questions that they asked me, so imagine this, I'm in this interview and they're asking me these questions about filmmaking. It's like, oh, the writing process and this, and what is it like to like pitch on something? What is it like to do this and blah, blah, blah. And then in the middle of it, the interviewer asked me about, it's like, oh, do you think that movies today focus too much on messaging? And it was very like leaded question in that sense. And I gave what I felt like was a very fair answer about messaging in properties like, Marvel movies or whatever, or you want to call it woke culture and all that stuff. And to me, I don't have a problem, just to surmise what I said is like, to me, I don't have a problem with what the filmmakers want to say, but ultimately to me, I think whatever message you have in your film or your thing that you're making or whatever should be in service to the story. And if it's not in service to the story, then you probably shouldn't be applying it to, the craft of the show or whatever it is. So like, to me, it's like, yeah, like when properties have things that are dealing with real world politics that take me out of it, like I'm watching it and then all of a sudden, like there's some reference to like this thing that's happening in the real world. It's like, if that's not in service to the story and that's just like you kind of saying something, like it takes me out of it. So it's like, I don't actually have a problem with whatever your message is. It's just as long as it's in service of what we're watching. I think it was created because of certain conditions. Yeah, it could have been. I mean, it felt like it for sure. And that is a good point, that like, it was during COVID and stuff. And so, yeah, I just never really got past that. Like it just took me out of it so much, like just the clunkiness. Yeah, COVID clobbered Falcon and Winter Soldier. Yeah. What indies am I interested in? Well, what indies have I picked up? I've picked up a few. What have I gotten recently? So I have Wind, which is the Tinian book. I have Undiscovered Country, which actually I didn't really like that one that much, but I'm just thinking of indie titles that I picked up, not like that recently, but say over the last like year or 6 months or something like that. What else did I pick up that were indie titles? Do we count? Oh my God, I'm totally blanking on the name. Lake Tinian, DC. That book. Do we count that as indie? I guess it's a DC, but it's kind of indie. Nice House on the Lake. I love that one. So that was great as well, if you count that as indie. Layouts versus finished art is how it's typically described. Yeah. Are you worried that Disney is starting to own everything we love? I mean, this is like, we're at the end of Monopoly, man. Like everything just gets swallowed by the bigger thing. So yeah, I mean, it's like sometimes it gets a little bit like, oh man, like I can't own everything. But it's also like the nature of commerce and capitalism. I think DD will be the new voice of reason in the MCU. Oh, I like that. I think you're right, Ryan. That would be a good, like, how kind of Captain America sort of represent, or Chris Evans as Captain America, like had that like, kind of, he's sort of like the heartbeat of the MCU, and like kind of the morality of the entire MCU. Whatever Chris Evans was, whatever his beliefs were or motives were, for the most part, was what the filmmakers were insisting that we, the audience, should be agreeing with. So I do agree with you that I think Daredevil could fit that role really well. Would you buy a low grade, no front cover of X-Men 1 or giant size X-Men 1? Prices are crazy for those. No, I personally would not buy a coverless comic book. I can't fault anyone that does. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, especially like when we're talking about, those types of comics that are already that expensive. But I don't know, like, what does the first page of X-Men 1 and GSX 1 actually look like? Because I can imagine, because effectively whatever the first page is now the new cover. Do they look cool? Like, I personally wouldn't. Maybe there's a reason, or maybe there's a reason you might want to buy it if you can find a cover of it, and then you can kind of re-put it together. That could work. Como absolutely loved the video on getting through slums with niche collections. First ever book, says him annual 25 cover, so I collect those. Oh, I see. That's the thing to Como, but yeah. Yeah, that's what Shirley. Yeah, that's what Echo definitely did. Yeah, she so did not shoot him. In the comic she did, but she just blind. Oh, okay. So yeah, maybe she did that too, but that would just be like, I mean, come on, man. How are we supposed to believe that Echo is some amazing trained killer and she couldn't even finish the job? Like, everybody knows, like in Zombieland, what is rule number one? Rule number one is always double tap, right? Like, how's Echo not going to double tap? Hold on, Swag. Half Irish. I knew it with the last name O'Brien. We were half brothers, at least. Great live event. Please do more of these. Oh yeah. Minuteman Comics, man. Half Irish, half Filipino. So yeah. Will Portacio is definitely one of my favorites, as well as Lino Yu. Yes. He is awesome as well. Definitely a big part of comics. Are you speculating on Asian characters like Wave now that Shang-Chi's in the MCU? I think it's a good spec. I mean, to me, it's like, I don't actually have that comic book, the New Agents of Atlas one. And I would buy it if I found it, but if you've seen my other videos, I'm only going to buy comic books that I think are being sold for under market. So I just haven't come across it yet, but I would 100% be buying it. But since it's a newer comic book, it's not one that I personally would be a grail for me. But I would like to have Wave's first appearance. I think it would be cool. But it's like how far away are we from that? Like it seems like a long way. Like I feel like I have at least 3 years to find the book. Depends on the books really a lot. I think this is in reference to me making fun about slabs, or you making fun of me about slabs. I need to remember to check out the sea monkeys. Let's just see if I can see some other stuff in the chat or questions. I'm setting up at a big Comic-Con soon. Any tips or anything comic vendors do that attract you at cons or make you more likely to deal with that vendor? Is it just pricing books fairly? I mean, I think pricing books fairly is huge, because I'm definitely going to be spending more time going through the books if I think that they're priced fairly. I also think just organization is like a huge deal. Like you could be a vendor who has a lot of great stuff, but if sometimes you guys have like or people have the boxes that are like on the tables, and then you have like 10 long boxes that are literally on the ground. It's just like, dude, like I'm 38 years old, and I'm not even that old, but like even at 38, I'm just like, I can only get down on my knees and dig for like so long. And when I'm at a comic book show and I'm there for like 6 hours, like if I have to dig through the vendor who's like got all their stuff like disorganized under box and stuff like that, I'm just not going to do it. So I really, really appreciate the vendors that are organized, presumably alphabetically. It's also nice to know, like sometimes people say like, oh, here's silver and bronze, and then here's like new stuff. So I kind of like it when they're organized in that sense, as opposed to just everything mixed together, because then I can focus on what I want to dig through. Sleeping Comics. Hey, Swaggle. Hey, what's going on, Sleeping? If you guys don't know Sleeping Comics, definitely go check out his channel. Especially if Sleeping knows a lot about comic books, but if you have curious questions about the NFT stuff, Sleeping is your guy. I learn a lot from him as well. So definitely go check out his channel. I'd love to actually Sleeping, we got to do a video or something eventually, or maybe a stream together, because I need to pick your brain on NFTs for sure. Comics Forge, what up, bub? Just popping in and say hi. Hey, thanks for stopping by, Comic Forge. Good to see you. One member of the Pressable Defects. If you guys don't know Pressable Defects, you definitely should check out their channel as well. But I feel like a lot of you guys are probably going to know their YouTube channel, because we've done videos and stuff together. So great guys, great for the community. Taryn has mass gains. Yeah, Taryn. He would be an awesome Wolverine. Yes, I agree on the Omniverse. Would be awesome. Yeah, I really think that's the case. Sorry, I'm still trying to catch up to the chat here. Are you planning on attending any big cons this year? San Diego, New York, etc. Do you set a plan when you plan out your purchasing, or just go with the flow and see what's there and decide? I would love to. I definitely want to go to more cons this year. I haven't specifically picked out which ones I'm going to go to yet. But if you guys have suggestions, let me know. But as far as like when I go in with a plan, yeah, I made a video where I talked about like kind of going in with like a little bit of a plan. I like, if I was going to a con tomorrow, because I don't have any specific targets that I'm looking at except for like First Vision, I wouldn't necessarily have a plan. But to me, I'm always looking for books where it's like, oh, being sold under market, or just ones that like seem like good deals. So I kind of just go with the flow. Like I like to say, like, let books find you, and just be able to get equity where you can find it. We all need the fan service of OG X-Men cast before we move on. I mean, yeah, but like we have to get it in a way that I think was like how we got it with the Spider-Man, right? Like with Toby and Andrew Garfield, where it felt satisfying. And, I was thinking about this the other day, and how disappointing is this? Okay. You ready I don't mean to break your guys' hearts, but you ready? Let me just throw this out. How sad is it that in the entire Fox X-Men franchise, we never got like an Avengers Assemble moment where like all the X-Men grouped together in a heroic way to go up against a big bad where we hear the X-Men theme, and we just have that like, oh shit moment. Like, I know they kind of tried to do that with Apocalypse, but like Hugh Jackman wasn't even in that. It's like we never got like all the X-Men on the battlefield at one time going against that big bad. And that felt like a huge missed opportunity. Like, I can't believe, and you know why I know this? When I'm trying to prepare meme stuff for the live streams, I'm always looking for clips to like edit over. And I'm like, okay, yeah, what's like that super badass moment that we got in the Fox X-Men movies? And like, although there are some, like we just never had that X-Men assemble moment, which is so disappointing. Ultimate Alliance and X-Men Legends, absolutely own. A man after my own heart. Absolutely. Ultra Maximus, what's going on? It's good to see you, man. Also, if you guys don't know, Ultra Maximus does a great YouTube, has a YouTube channel as well, does great content. He's always doing live streams as well. I'm always kind of lurking in there, but yeah, good to see you, man. Definitely. Let's chat. Old school. All right. Good night, sir. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for hanging out. Let's see. Teen Titans AL2 and New Mutants 90 have the same vibe. Yeah, they do have the same vibe. Like same kind of blocking almost as like the character for sure. Bloop Comics, what's going on? What's going on? Hey, Swaggle, congrats on 10K, man. Keep it up. Thank you, Bloop. Another great YouTube content creator. Definitely go check out Bloop Comics there. He's always got some good, spec and invest videos and stuff. So all these YouTubers who are in here, definitely go check them out when you can, guys. I try and submit one book to pay for them all. Yeah, absolutely. You always got to have the one that's going to do it. Let's see. Ryan, what's going on? What comics am I currently reading? I kind of mentioned that already. Have you ever read a Transformers book? And if not, let me tell you why Last Stand of the Record should be your first. I've read a couple. I read, speaking of new comic books, I had been reading the Beast Wars one, the IDW one, which is like kind of a cheat because essentially they're like revamping the cartoon from back in the day. But I loved Beast Wars. Like that was when I would have been in high school at that time. So I absolutely loved that cartoon. So nostalgia got me on that book. But yeah, Last Stand of the Records, I have not read that one, but I will definitely add it to the list and I will take that little picture right there so that I remember. Do you collect anything DC? I kind of talked about this a little bit. I mean, I'm not a super big DC person, but I got my new Teen Titans annual #2. So I got that there. Do you have any Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comics? I picked up The Last Ronin when it recently came out, or I got a couple of The Last Ronin books. And I really enjoyed them, but I haven't been like a regular TMNT comic reader. Although like most of you guys, I grew up watching the cartoon and stuff. So I definitely love Ninja Turtles. But I just haven't gotten into the comics as much. Hey Swaggle, what are your thoughts on the Secret Wars Marvel series? Secret Wars is an all-time classic for sure. A lot of people thinking that we're going to get Secret Wars as the next big event crossover thing in the MCU. I think that that's totally possible. Feels like another one of those where it's like, but like, how close are we? Like, are we 2 years away? Are we 3 years away? Like, is it this phase's Avengers film, or are we like 10 years away from Secret Wars? So hard to say, but for sure it would be, awesome to get that. And the series was great. It's a fun read. I mean, it depends on like your taste of comic reading. Like when we're talking about like the 80s run of Secret Wars, like if you like that Copper Age writing, but the Secret Wars from 2015, that's by Jonathan Hickman, was a super good read. And I think that one is going to be the one that when we get Secret Wars, I think that they're going to take a lot from that particular run. Kind of like in Infinity Gauntlet or when we got Infinity War. Yes, there's references to the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, but it really felt like they took more from Hickman's Infinity, at least in terms of like Thanos and the Black Order and all that stuff. So that Secret Wars from 2015 would be one that I would look at a lot. I pick all tiny and yeah, I'm kind of with you, Ryan. Like, so obviously you guys know comic books are expensive, right? You can't read everything, but I really index on the writers the most, even more so than the artists. I know comic art is like number one, but when it comes to like reading the stuff, like I'll take good writing, like an Ed Brubaker with bad art over great art with bad writing. But that's just my personal preference. Do you like collecting things like Alex Ross covers or Lenticular Run a few years ago? I love Alex Ross art, but I don't collect those covers. And I specifically did not buy any of those timeless portrait ones because it's too dangerous. Like once you get one, you're going to need to get two, and then you get three, and then you want to get them all. And I specifically told myself I was not going to get those. But Alex Ross obviously does incredible work. Just as X-Men 1 has a decent first page group shot. Okay, well, maybe it's worth picking that one up. Como gets around. Double tap, man. Come on, how is Echo not going to double tap? That would be ridiculous. Sofa King with the tomatoes. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, but it's tomatoes. Coverless collection came into my LCS and they were $1 each. ASM Annual 1. Oh, I mean, if we're talking $1, like 100%, you should be buying books like ASM Annual 1, FF48, and FF52 for $1. 100%. So yeah, I guess when we go back to that question of like, would you buy one? I guess ultimately it depends on the price, but I was assuming the fair market value price for like whatever a coverless book would actually be. Do something. We'll see here. I hope they do something with White Fox in the MCU. White Fox is a character that they could do some stuff with for sure. I don't really know too much about White Fox, but her first appearance, it's like in that book. What is it called? What is that? It's the name of the video game. Future. It's got Maestro on it. No, something like that. I can't remember. I've been looking for that book and I can't find it. The White Fox first appearance one, but she is an interesting character for sure. First appearance of Archangel, X Factor 23 or 24. Look, you can go different ways on this and you would be right depending on what you said. But I'm going to say X Factor 24 is the first appearance. And this is one of those situations where I can't necessarily justify it, kind of in the way that like X-Men 266 is Gambit's first appearance, but you can't really justify it. It's just that like there's now so much history and it's on the cover and everyone has emotionally invested in that one and financially invested in that one, where to me, that would be the book that I would still go for. Now, on a technicality, I do think that the first appearance is X Factor 23. In fact, actually, you know what? The real first appearance might be Marvel Age 87, which I think is the right number. But there was a Marvel Age book that is a preview of that X Factor storyline, and he's on the cover and he's inside the book. And if it depends on how you want to define first appearance. If we're talking about literally the first time we ever see it, doesn't matter where, then the Marvel Age one is. If we're talking about first time we see him inside a comic book, then X Factor 23 is. If we're talking about what the market feels like and decides is the most valuable a book, then 24 is going to be the one. Desire Comics, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Desire's a great community member. One of the first people I actually got to meet in real life from comic books. So that is definitely pretty cool for sure that I've been able to do that. Let's see here. Digging through this long box on the floor is the worst. Yeah, I know. Yeah, dude, I can only go so long when I dig through the boxes on the floor. Origin Comics, you need a scroll stopper. I see. Yeah, so this is good advice from Como. If you're still in here, as far as like being a vendor at a show. So Como says you need a scroll stopper on the wall. TMNT 1, Hanzi, a major Marvel key, etc. Something to get the passersby to stop and take a closer look. Yeah, you need those wall books. The wall books bring us in, and you got to just that's going to be the thing that attracts everyone to your booth. So for sure, got to have those good wall books. Let's see, Carnival. What's going on, Carnival? Good to see you. Any of the classics monsters brought back in the Bronze Age is what I'm going for. Oh, so like, are you talking about like Living Mummy Frankenstein, that sort of thing. Yeah, for sure. That is good spec right now. I've been like eyeing those books, and I definitely would want to pick up like, what is it? Supernatural Thrillers #5, Living Mummy, and First Frankenstein. I've just actually never seen them in the wild. Like I always think that secretly I'll be able to find them being sold for like $5, and I've just never been so lucky. Oh yeah, so sleeping, we got to do that NFT thing here. Let's see here. Oh, Dan De La Torre, what's up, Swaggle What's going on, Dan? Good to see you in the chat here. Thanks for coming by. If you guys don't know Dan, another great community member. Doesn't have a YouTube channel yet. Probably should have a YouTube channel, but he's always popping up on some live streams. And if I can get more into the live stream routine, I would love to have Dan on the show as well. Let's see here. We've got some tomatoes. We got stuff. I got to scroll past all this stuff. Blah 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 blah. Let's see here. Oh, we got Automatic Comics. Oh, that sign on the wall looks awesome, dude. Thank you, Automatic. Yeah. How do you guys like that sign right there? Check this out. Can we just show off a little bit of this? Look at what the sign can do. Of course, you guys, can we just appreciate for a second? Look at the functionality of that sign blinking on and off right there. So yeah, it's pretty cool. My camera is not good enough. It's really, grainy and stuff. But hey, it's a cool gift from Mrs. Swag, and I think it looks pretty cool. I think it looks better at nighttime than it does in the day in my videos. But Automatic Comics, I'm sure you guys know Automatic Comics, right? Definitely go check out his YouTube. I don't need to hype him up. The guy's work speaks for itself. He's always looking at the auctions and stuff. He knows the stuff. He's doing like $1 million comic unboxings and things like that. So definitely go check out his YouTube stuff as well. And you guys have seen him. He's been on the streams before. Swaggle, can you delete Sofa King? Oh, yeah. I already took care of that stuff. Blah, blah, blah. I'm catching up with the chat. I think I'm getting close here. I'm getting close. I'm just kind of milking it and trying to talk it all through. Let's see. Troy, what's going on? Hi, all. Hi, Swag. New to your channel. Learning a lot from you. Congrats on the 10K subscription. Hey, Troy, thank you so much for checking out the channel. Really appreciate that. See, just checking out the chat. Let's see here. I have my Silverbolt from when I was a kid on my desk. Love Beast Wars. Yes. Dude, Beast Wars was so good. It was so good. And it was so good like after the fact or the end of the show, spoilers. I love how they tied it back to, what do you call it? Transformers 1, like season 1 Transformers. I loved how they tied it back to the Earth and everything. It was so awesome. Alternate, yeah, block them. Yeah. I'm catching up to the chat, and then I had to block and do the thing. So sorry, I don't have any like moderators and stuff. So apologize for, the people that are spamming the chat and stuff. If you had, Monk's Den says, if you had to sell one, which would you choose? Ultimate Fallout 4 Djurjevic variant, CGC 9.8, or Hulk 181 CGC 9.2. If I had to sell one, meaning like I get to keep the other one, I'm selling the. Wait a minute. Okay, I was gonna say no easy answer. I was gonna sell Ultimate Fallout 4, but then I realized it's the Djurjevic variant. And are those prices even the same? Like, I feel like, isn't the Djurjevic variant like ridiculously expensive? Maybe I'm wrong here. If the prices are equal, I'm going with Hulk 181 like 100%. It's not even close. If the prices are equal. But that's just me. Like, I just like Wolverine more than Miles. I think Miles is an awesome character, and I think that that's a cool book. But I like Silver and Bronze Age stuff. So to me, and I like Wolverine more as a character. So that would just be the book that I would go with in that situation. My Titans number 23 CGC 9.8 sold for the highest amount on eBay, $300. The buyer was excited to get it ASAP to CGC for the signing. Less than a week later, signing canceled. That's part. Oh, yeah, the George Perez signing. Yeah, it's really, really, really a bummer. And just wish him well, wish the family well. So hopefully, he's in good health and stuff like that. Let's see. So, dude, people love the tomatoes, man. They love the tomatoes here. Let's see. Just keep going through. Christopher Dawson. Hey, buddy, look at you at 10,000 friends. 10,000 friends. I don't know if I would call them 10,000 friends. I got 80 friends in the chat, so that's good. But yeah, thank you, sir. Vancouver Comic Junkie, great comic book YouTuber as well. So what's going on? Hey, Cameron Hamilton. Hey, what's going on? Good to see you, Cam. Thanks for stopping by. If you guys don't know, Cam has been on the channel. We did the live stream. We did the claim sales together, and we've been processing the books and stuff. I think we've kind of gotten through it. I sent out a bunch of stuff today, but there's a couple people who haven't followed up yet. So go give Cameron a follow. Maybe he's going to do some YouTube videos in the future. I bought all the Timeless covers, and it also started me collecting a bunch of other runs. Yeah, that was the trap, right? Into the Alex Ross thing. Once you pop, you can't stop. And I was fearful of that. What are your thoughts on the upcoming Doctor Strange movie? It looks awesome. Like, I'm super, super excited to see it for sure. So I don't know. I mean, it looks like it's going to be crazy. I'm excited about all the cameos. I think Doctor Strange is a cool character. I think the fact that it's being directed by Sam Raimi is awesome. So I'm super excited to see, what happens with it. Fair market value would be more than $1 for those books. Yeah, exactly. If you can get the coverless ones for $1, they're definitely worth it. Contest of Champions. That's the one with the first appearance. Thank you. I want to see Molecule Man. Yeah, Molecule Man could be the first Fantastic Four villain for sure. I mean, we don't really know who it's going to be. A lot of people saying Doctor Doom, but maybe they're going to start with Molecule Man. How spec worthy do you think Sable is? She's a good ground level character that hasn't been on screen yet. Are we talking about Silver Sable here? If it's Silver Sable, I mean, yeah, like I think it's a great spec character. I think there's a lot of those characters that are good spec characters, like Sleepwalker and Darkhawk and Silver Sable, and characters that came out around that time. Maybe Silver Sable's a little bit older, but it's one of those things too, where it's like, that's the type of character that, like, it's not high risk because it's not like expensive, like her books, but like, it's just, what are the chances that she comes, or a character like Darkhawk comes, compared to a more obvious character that is more likely to come? So it's just one of those, like, if you buy these books, like, how long are we going to wait for them to show up? But I do think that, Silver Sable is as good as any, somewhat noteworthy character to spec on for sure. Is there a book you buy for cover only? Yeah, tons of books I buy for the cover only. Whoa, guys, backwards. Like this one right here, like, that Incredible Hulk 340, right? That's just a pure cover buy. Things like that. We got this Tales to Astonish 91, Silver Surfer and Hulk cover. So there's a lot of books that are just cover buys. I mean, Silver Surfer 4 with just the Thor and Silver Surfer. I mean, that's a pure cover buy for sure. So I think covers are like almost bigger drivers than first appearances in some ways. Can I have a blue wench? Oh yeah, I got to give you one. But how do I do that? Does anyone know how I do this? Wait, if I star you, does that do anything? I actually don't know how to do the blue wrench thing. So if you guys could help me figure that out, that'd be super helpful. Found a rough copy of Sergeant Fury 13 for $1 about 2 months ago, but I have no idea what it would grade. How do you determine if it's worth it? Well, if you're talking about sending into CGC, what I would do is, and again, if you guys in the chat also have ideas, definitely weigh in. But like, you got to look at, okay, well, what does Sergeant Fury 13 sell for, right? The fair market value. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure what that book is. I'm not sure if it's a key. So, if you're talking about, okay, I bought it for $1, I'm going to send it into CGC, cost me $40 to do that. I'm going to press it. I'm going to wait, however long it takes to come back as, and now I'm in it for $55. I don't know what the fair market value is, but let's say it's 100. Well, maybe it's worth your time to send it in and try to sell it. But also too, like, just because it's worth 100 doesn't mean that you're going to find that buyer right away. On eBay or whatever. So you might have to wait on that. And again, I just don't know off the top of my head if that's like a major key or whatever. So, I think you just have to factor in all those things. Hey, Small Town Collectibles. Hey, didn't I just talk to you? Yes, you did. Congrats on the 10K. For those who don't know, Small Town Collectibles, another great YouTube content creator. I was actually I just did a video with him. So spoilers, he invited me to his 10 questions series and we were on it. And yeah, Small Town, I had planned on like doing a live stream and I was basically, just going to do it right after we talked. I just had some dinner, hung out with the wife for a little bit and then fired up the stream. But yeah, stay tuned for that. I'm going to be on his channel. See what else. Adam, what's going on, man? Hey, Swag, best tomato-based Italian food, spaghetti with meatballs or pizza? I mean, is pizza really Italian food? Wasn't pizza actually invented in China? Like, is that something I've just made up? Like, I mean, I guess I could look it up on the internet, but I mean, if I had to, what's better? They're so good. They're both so good. I guess spaghetti and meatballs is a better Italian food, but I mean, pizza is like my all-time favorite. So I asked, are there any DC Spec comics you'd get? I'm banking on DC Presents 26 and first new Teen Titans. I mean, I think that for sure those runs to me, as I educate myself more on DC, those to me for sure seem to be the runs that have a lot of the most Spec value. The Teen Titans one is interesting though, because, we have Titans going on right now, right? They're like in season 4 and stuff. But I haven't paid enough attention to understand if those shows move the market that much. And it kind of feels like, no shade to things like the CW and things like that. But don't you guys kind of agree that like honestly, if you're not on Disney Plus and you're not on HBO, like I just don't view you as canon right now to like whether to DC or to Marvel. Like if you're, the Runaways or you're Cloak and Dagger, like to me, you're just not canon to, whatever's going on in the MCU. And if you're a CW show, and you're Batgirl, you're Green Arrow or whatever, like, I mean, I know we're going to get the Flash movie and maybe get some of that stuff, but like, I also just don't really view you as canon. So the Teen Titans one, I think are great books, but like, as far as like the Titans Spec, like the Spec books that come from that, where it's like, oh, this character's going to show up in season 4. Like, I don't know like how much those move the needle. Like same with the Hulu shows, a lot of the stuff for MODOK and Hitmonkey and things like that. Like it doesn't feel like those things moved all that much. Howdy Swaggle. What's going on, Jordan? Good to see you. You have already shipped everything out. I'm packing up books now. Well, not everything, but like, yeah, I live a stone's throw from the post office, so it was easy for me to take it over. Dude, Marvel 97 is on my watch list for sure. For sure, it's on my watch list as well. I need to get that book ASAP. The market will decide the book to own, regardless of what first appearance is. Personally, if the name character in the book, I count it as a first appearance. Yeah, I mean, yes, you're right. Well, that's the thing too, is like we can say the first appearance is like the first appearance is just a title. It's just a label. That's all it is, right? It doesn't mean that that's going to be the money buck. It's just a label. So it can be true that X Factor 23 is the first appearance, but that doesn't mean that that book is going to be more valuable than the second appearance. So yeah, Sofa King left. So thank you guys both for doing that. Let's see. Paulo, what's going on, man? Hey, Mickey, love the neon lights. Thanks. Appreciate that. Blue, quick question for you. What's your experience with hunting outside of comic shops? Have you had any luck at garage sales, flea markets, etc.? Yeah, it's a good question. I've popped in with to antique stores every now and then, and I've had like a little luck at antique stores, not too much, but like honestly, those things like garage sales and flea markets and things like that, I find them to be really hit and miss. They're actually, I find them to be mostly miss. But people do have those epic stories of like, oh, I went to a garage sale and I found like 5 Hulk 181s, so I've only done it a little bit. I'll definitely pop into antique stores if I like happen to be out, just with the wife or whatever, and we're walking around and, oh, there's an antique store here. I'll always like, tell her like, hey, can I just pop into the shop real quick? And then she, hits me with the, yeah, I always look in the antique store. The garage sales, I feel like it's a lot of effort with the garage sale, but if you have the time and you have the bandwidth, I mean, you never really know. do you think Midnight Suns are coming, and what team members do you expect will be on the team? Do you see Man-Thing coming? I mean, Midnight Suns definitely seems like a really good spec. And what I always say with these rumors is like, if there's smoke, there's fire. And I feel like the cream rises to the top oftentimes with like the rumor stuff. And once you start to hear the rumors like again and again and again, like they really start to, demonstrate that like, like they end up coming true, or more info comes out later on down the line. So the Midnight Suns is one that like continues to pop up again and again and again. And I would expect that the roster would be Blade. It would be probably Blade, Black Knight. Maybe they would just put Moon Knight in there. And then they would bring in, they're going to want some females as well. So like the Elsa Bloodstone stuff makes a lot of sense, or characters like that. I would think that they would bring characters like that in. So that would be the team. Man-Thing, I think for sure would make a lot of sense. But it also depends on the level, because this is such a like nuanced way to think about the spec. But like sometimes I think about like with Man-Thing and characters like that, it's like, how much is it going to cost their production to consistently make a Man-Thing character? Where it's like, okay, we can have Blade in a black leather, duster and a sword and sunglasses, and boom, we got Blade. Whereas Man-Thing, we got to like literally do Thanos level VFX. And so as much as I think that they would love to do a character like that, it really, I think, depends. I think they probably do consider this stuff a lot as far as like budget and can they bring this character to life? And if they bring him into the MCU and they have to repeatedly use him throughout the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's going to be hard for them to do that. Like, I think it's really interesting that we haven't gotten any, well, actually it's not interesting. I think one of the reasons why we haven't gotten any visuals really from She-Hulk is because I think they're still working on making her be green. And I think that that's one of the things that's like really hard for them to do. Yeah, Mrs. Swag with the win, with the sign for the win. Marvel Decoded. Yo, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Let's see. Okay. House on Fire. You can only grab Avengers 1 and one other book. Which one is going to be? Well, if you saw my top 50 comic books, I mentioned My Brother's Wolverine. So I'm grabbing Avengers 1 and My Brother's Wolverine 100%. Although one of the problems with that is that you see this box right here. See how like it's that wood box with like the plastic cover, and I got the ASM 361 in it. I have My Brother's Wolverine in one of those boxes as well. So I'd have to like unscrew it and like pull it out and all this stuff. So it's not a fast grab. So I have to consider that. I have to do some rethinking in case I ever find myself in a fire. Hey Swaggle, how much of your collection was from your youth, and how much have you picked up in recent years? I have a decent amount of stuff from my youth, like the comic I just talked about. This one was my first Carnage, second print from my youth. That is the one. A lot of the comic books, I have a lot of comic books off camera here that you guys never see. And a lot of the bins are filled with comic books from my youth. So I have like a full Darkhawk run. I got a full Silver Surfer volume 3. I got a Wolverine 88 or 1988 Wolverine run. And then I have some other books like little keys and stuff. Like I have like some Spawn books from like the Image, early 90s Image and stuff. Those are all my original comic books and things like that. Love the sign. Congrats to 10K. Yeah. Thanks, Nigel. Yeah. Ryan in the house. Always a great sign. Definitely great to have Automatic Comics in. Thoughts on Maria Rambeau? Thoughts on Maria Rambeau? I was thinking about her the other day. Like, isn't it funny how like she got her powers from walking through Wanda's barrier? Like that's what we got? Like writers, that's what we got? She got her powers for walking through her barrier? That made no sense. I mean, Captain Marvel, I think she's a cool character. Like I remember her in the Avengers team from like, the Copper Age, and like I liked her for the most part. But like she hasn't done anything cool yet, I'm still kind of waiting. I want to be like converted into a fan. I think that Avengers annual, excuse me, Amazing Spider-Man Annual 16, I think is undervalued again. That book, like I did a video where we look back on the WandaVision spec books, and I talked about that book, and that book has corrected pretty heavily, or not heavily, a decent amount, a normal amount, but it feels like a great buying opportunity, especially if she ends up being an Illuminati member in the Doctor Strange movie. Although it's a little bit hard with the movie things, because by the time people get excited about her appearance in the movie, we're already on the other end of the movie. And then do people want to buy the books again? So, but it feels like she's going to be around all the way through the Marvels. So I feel like it's a great character. And it feels like that ASM book is definitely one to pick up. I mean, it's it's always the best too, when it's like, it's in an ASM title, like it's an annual, like people are always going to collect this series anyway. So that's just a bonus. Like, it's not like funny enough, I think one of the reasons why first full Mystique is so undervalued is because I feel like, because it's in the Ms. Marvel title, she doesn't get that added bonus that people just want to have the full run of that. Whereas like, if your first appearance is in Spider-Man, people are always going to want to own your appearance anyways. What are your favorite Marvel Disney Plus shows so far? What is your favorite Marvel Disney Plus show so far? I think WandaVision actually was my favorite. I mean, I didn't love that, like, kind of how the plane landed, like with the morality of it. And we all were really like hoping that, like Mephisto was going to come, or it was going to be some epic twist end or something like that. It kind of ended where it did. But I would say from start to finish, it was the best show that accomplished what it was trying to do. I think it achieved what it was trying to do better than what the other shows did. I think Falcon and Winter Soldier, I already mentioned how I felt about that. Loki, I think, started really strong. And then I think a lot of the middle episodes kind of floundered a little bit. And then the final episode was kind of cool with the Immortus and everything like that. And it ended kind of like with a great cliffhanger and exciting and stuff. But like, consistently speaking, from top to bottom, I thought WandaVision was the most successful. And then Hawkeye, I also thought was okay at what it was trying to do, but I felt like the finale faltered pretty hard. Not sure if you remember, but I suggested a Discord chat for your followers, and I've already built it for you. Interesting. Oh yeah, Steve, thank you. I do remember that. And you talking about the Discord. Yeah, let me follow up with you on an email, and we'll talk more about that, because that could be cool to do. Sell the 181. Okay, we got to go back to the conversation with the Miles Morales and stuff. So it's like 30K now, Ryan says, for that UF4. And then I don't know what the 181 is. Crispy says 181 all day. So again, if the values are the same, I'm going 181. But also, I don't know what the census is. So like, how many Djurjevic variants are there on the census? Are there a lot? Any obscure comics in your collection that you're a fan of? Something like Slow Jams by David Choe or Rock Band Comics. And obscure comics that I have that I love. Yes, I do have some. If you count this as obscure. So we're Swaggle House Comics and Games. I play a lot of video games. I used to love playing World of Warcraft, and I have a lot of the World of Warcraft books from Wildstorm and from DC. They also had done an imprint of them as well. So I really do love that lore and that property. I also have some Dungeons and Dragons books. I mentioned I did some Wizards of the Coast work. So I love like kind of the fantasy stuff. So those are kind of like my obscure comic books that I own. I would actually love to get the first appearance of Driz eventually, because I think we're going to be getting some Dungeons and Dragons content. We're definitely going to get a movie with Chris Pine, actually. Do you think it would increase the value of my Hulk 449 to have Lou Ferrigno sign it and have it witnessed by CGC, or should I not get it signed and just grade it as which is greater than 9.0? Well, would a signature increase the comic's value? Probably. But I'm personally of the opinion that I would not have an actor sign a comic book. Now, Hulk 449, that's Thunderbolts. I think that that's okay. Like if you wanted Lou to sign it, I think that that's fine. But let's say you had a Hulk 1, right? Like a timeless blue chip book. I personally would not have him sign it. If I had a Tales of Suspense 39, I actually wouldn't have Robert Downey Jr. sign it. I feel like the only people I'd have sign those books are like the creators or like a Stan Lee or someone who is important for our comic books. And the reason I think that is that like, our generation grew up with, or, maybe when I was young, like there's Lou Ferrigno and stuff, and he was playing Hulk, and yeah, you can maybe have Mark Ruffalo sign your Hulk book or whatever. But like 20 years from now, 30 years from now, there's probably going to be another person who's playing Hulk. And the people of that generation are not going to care about Mark Ruffalo, or they're not going to care about Robert Downey Jr. So I personally wouldn't have like actors sign a book. But that's just me. But to answer your technical question, I think any signature series thing is going to go up, is going to be priced more or going to cost more than not a signature. How can I donate you $42,000? Well, there's a super chat you can hit right there at the bottom if you want to send me $42,000. But don't worry about sending me anything like that. Although I'll take it if you really wanted me to. Hulk 181 is the first appearance of Wolverine. It's the first appearance of Spider-Man. It's not even close. Oh, okay. I assume you guys are discussing something about the comic books here. How do you feel about Thor 4 action figure leaks? Well, yeah. What did we see in them? We got the new Thor costume, which was like a book that kind of got hot a little bit. We got the Jane Foster, what she looks like as Thor. What else was in that? I think we got to look at Gore, who kind of looked cool. But did we get anything like really juicy that came out of that? I can't remember. Oh yeah, Vancouver Comic Junkie. There's the account right there. So definitely go check out his YouTube too. If you want to, he does a lot of great YouTube videos and conversations and streams and unboxings and things like that. Another great member of the community. Let's see. Just kind of going through the chat here, getting caught up. Aside from Avengers, what is your largest series collection? I mentioned it. I have probably Silver Surfer. The Copper Age Silver Surfer is my largest one. I think I have like 1 through 100. So that's my largest. And then I have Darkhawk and Wolverine as well. But Darkhawk is only 50 issues. CGC is not handling the press. Yeah. Are they not handling it well? I actually don't. I don't know. Are they not like returning money or stuff like that? I haven't looked into it. Let's see. Just try to scroll through if I can kind of catch up to some of the more recent chats so that I can be a little more like on top of the convo with you guys. Let's see. Favorite comic in the PC. I think I mentioned this. My Avengers 1 and my Wolverine 1 are my favorite comic books. The Wolverine that belongs to my brother. Yeah. Hulu's where shows go to die. Yeah. I think we talked about this, Ryan, on the live stream where we had the roundtable and stuff. And we were talking about like the animation and stuff. And yeah, I just don't think that those shows move the needle that much. I work for CW and even I don't think it's canon. Yeah. Vancouver knows. Vancouver works in the film community. Like I do too. And yeah, to your point, like, I just don't buy it as like it's canon. And I think that's the reason why the values don't move in proportion to those things, because I think everyone kind of feels it, in their heart of hearts that it's not real, so the FOMO doesn't hit. Swaggle House, what do you think of the Halo grading company? And do you have your comics graded by them? Halo grading company? I actually don't know what that is. Yeah. Is that like kind of like a new company like EGS or something like that? Let me know. Let's see. Captain Beardo, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Good evening and Kratz. Thank you so much. Honest question. Mickey, are like most of us and you collect more comics than you actually read? I'm very guilty of this. Yeah. You can't read all the comics like that you collect. I mean, maybe there's someone who does, but I have yet to meet someone who can actually read as many comic books as they own or collect. unless you're just that person who like buys trade paperbacks and just takes choice amounts. So yeah, comic book reading is just, it's hard to catch up on that. And actually, you know what's funny? The worst performing video I've made on my channel. Okay. The worst performing video I've made on my channel in the last year of doing comic book videos was top 5 tips on how to catch up on your comic book reading. Nobody cared. Nobody cared to catch up on their comic book reading because everyone knows it's a futile endeavor. Got my first Midnight Suns at Salvation Army for $1.99 in the poly bag. Dude, $1.99 spec books are the best kind of spec books. The cost is what killed Swamp Thing. Yeah, so we're talking about the Man-Thing thing. And yeah, I just think sometimes some of these characters, the execution of it is too hard to already do. Man-Thing already has a movie. Yeah, he did have one, right? I don't think I saw it. Let's see. No doubt at all that the powers that are working on Disney to create an adult section on Disney Plus, it absolutely will happen. Just need to ensure the viewer. Yeah, this is the thing this is a good point, Miniman, is that I talk about this. A lot of people always say, jokingly, when I say, I think Mephisto will come eventually. And then people always say, Mephisto's never coming. And look, he's probably never coming, and I'm probably biased. But one of the reasons why people say he's never coming is that they're like, oh, Disney's never going to do a devil character. But I honestly think that with these companies, what they will do, and we've even heard this with Deadpool, is, you know, for Disney, it's about making a catalog, right? They're going to have content that is targeted towards, you know, the youth. There's going to have content that is targeted for mass audiences, and then they're going to have content that is targeted for adults and things like that. Even Disney will do this. And so I think that, you know, when they say Deadpool 3 is going to be rated R, I think that they understand that it's going to be content targeted within their catalog towards a certain audience. And I think Moon Knight actually is going to show us that they're going to do some very, very adult things. Newbie, what's going on, man? Newbie Comics in the house. Definitely, like all the other content creators, check out Newbie Comics if you get a chance. Awesome content creator, but you guys have seen him on the channel. Of course, you guys have seen him. Let's see here. Keep scrolling through. Just catching up. King of the Golden State, are you from Cali? Yes, I am from Cali. So Golden State Warriors fans. I'm originally from the Bay Area, but I now live in the kind of Los Angeles area, or I've lived in the Los Angeles area since college, essentially. Let's see. Origin here. Any option properties that you are high on? I feel like most of them don't go anywhere or don't pan out. Maybe you can touch on your film background on how option things are finally get greenlight. This is a great question. And I think Vancouver can help me out in this one. Vancouver Comics in the chat. I think the spec market on option comics is very optimistic because options mean one thing, and that is that some production company has decided to acquire the rights to make a thing. But the thing about options is that options happen all of the time. I've had multiple screenplays that I've written that have been optioned, and you've never seen any of them because they haven't been made. And these things get optioned all the time, and companies do that. And on top of that, sometimes when there's an announcement for an option, a lot of times a company is doing that, like posting a deadline article for PR reasons. So I know very specifically of a title, a property that has been optioned recently that I actually did some work on. And there is a comic book for it. And it was announced that it was optioned. And knowing what I know, it's like this option is purely PR based to galvanize some of the fandom that is out there in the market. So like comic book collectors. So when a thing is announced that it's going to be optioned, it creates the excitement within the fan base. Fan base starts talking about it. People make YouTube videos about it. And it just generates that excitement in that PR. So that now when that company is pitching to financiers or they're pitching to production companies to attached to it, or they're pitching to actors or stars to possibly get on it, or they're finding, other writers to develop it and things like that. They create that community buzz so that they can use that as leverage to attract whatever things that they need. So it's like things that get optioned can definitely, eventually be made into shows. But like, a lot of stuff that is optioned is like in purgatory, essentially. So it takes a very, very long time. If you get to a point where someone's announcing that like this person has been cast, that's like a big deal, So when Jake Gyllenhaal is like, oh, I'm going to play such and such character in Oblivion song, it's like, okay, that to me is real. But if it's like a thing that's been optioned, it's like, cool. Like, so this company spent $5,000 to, acquire the rights to a thing. And, who really knows? Like maybe it's just some like 24-year-old development executive at a production company who told their boss like, hey, this property is super, super hot. Let's option it. And they're like, okay, cool. And they option it. And then it's like, all right, cool. Like, let's make it. And their boss is like, I'm working on this other thing. And then it just sits there. That's like how a lot of stuff ends up happening. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it is interesting. What do you think about Spider-Man books with the first appearance of the black suit, Team Up 141, ASM 252, and Secret Wars 8? I mean, I think those books are all great. And funny enough, like, I don't think they've seen their peak yet. Like, they got really hot coming into Venom 2 in this last year, but like it, by all accounts, it feels like the next thing that we're going to get from Tom Holland Spider-Man is going to be a black suit version of the character. And when that happens, all those books are going to go crazy. Now, me personally, I prefer 252, which is right there. I like it because it's the cover swipe of AF-15 and probably the closest I'm going to get to an AF-15. But Secret Wars 8 is great as well. Like, I mean, I like that it's in the Secret Wars title. The Team Up book, Marvel Team Up, is awesome as well. I think that they're all great books, and I don't think that they've seen their ceiling yet. Pure Comic Collector, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Thoughts on Iron Man 4? Iron Man 4, like the movie? Like, are we getting Iron Man 4? I mean, I don't know if we're going to get Iron Man 4, but 1,000% Robert Downey Jr. is coming back. 1,000%. I don't know if it's going to be like in the next couple of years, but he's 1,000% coming back. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. coming back to the MCU is going to be to the young generation what Han Solo and Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker coming back to Star Wars was for our generation. Like, those kids are growing up on RDJ, and then 10 years from now, 20 years from now, whatever the case is, they're going to get him back in the MCU and people are going to lose their mind. Spider-Man 623 for Simple Simon. Dude, hottest comic in the market for Simple Simon. Ryan knows about this one. I'm specking on that book hard. Thoughts on Marvel Premiere 1. Thor 165 has the first appearance, but Marvel Premiere is his name Warlock, and Marvel Premiere 2 is his name Adam Warlock. Is there room to grow in value? 1,000%. I think there's room to grow in value. I think both those books are great. I got the one right there, Marvel Premiere. And let me say this. In a vacuum, I think Thor 165 will always be more valuable because it is an older book. It's a Silver Age versus a Bronze Age. And that alone is going to make it more valuable. Just from the cent, right? It's like a 12 center versus whatever that is. What is it? A 20 center or something like that. So the historical precedent is going to make Thor 165 more valuable. And I think most people would have said that would have been the book that like popped off most in the market. But then the Marvel Premiere one, however, with all the rumors right now, is that High Evolutionary might be in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And if that's the case, that interaction with Warlock takes place in the Marvel Premiere book. So I think both are going to pop off in the market. And even if you don't feel like Marvel Premiere is a first appearance book, the fact that that's the book that connects to the High Evolutionary, I think is going to make it pop off, because it seems like that's the story we're going to get in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. $9.6, 181 is around 25 to 30K last I looked. Okay, well, he said it was a 9.2 181. So in that situation, I'm going with Ultimate Fallout 4, because how can you not take the more valuable book? Because I'm going to sell the Ultimate Fallout 4 and then I'm going to go buy the Hulk 181 and pocket 10 grand. WoW for the win, played 8 years, Arena Pro. Wait, Crispy, are you really Arena Pro? I mean, I got like 1900, in twos and threes. That's the level to which I played. Oh, snap. For the Horde, for the Alliance. I do kind of favor the Alliance. Although I played Classic WoW and I rolled Horde in Classic WoW. Lost my grandfather in 2020, inherited his 7,000 comic collection from the 60s and 70s and 80s. Found your channel and you have helped me navigate the collection. Thank you. Oh, well, Jordan, I'm so sorry to hear about the passing of your grandfather, and glad that I've been able to, help your collection. I mean, I think it's tough, man. Like, it's tough to inherit all those comic books and figure it out and handle that. So best of luck to you. Let's see, do not buy into spec based on Lego sets. Gargantos won't happen. The 3 No Way Home, Mysterio, Scorpion, Vulture sets had nothing to do with the movie. Gargantos would be Shumagorath. Yeah, I mean, you got to take all this stuff with a grain of salt, right? Like, whether it's the toy leaks or the pop figures or whatever the case is, some of this stuff pops off, some of it doesn't. Like right now, Sleepwalker is one of the toys in Doctor Strange, right? And, that's why I think Sleepwalker #1 has popped off recently in the market, right? So you never really know. I mean, I think though the character is going to be Gargantos, because I think the Marvel doesn't have the rights to say Shumagorath. Like, it's one of those legal things. Like, I think effectively they want it to be Shumagorath, but I don't know if they can actually call him that. I think there's like a technical legal issue. Best Beast Wars episode, A Hero's Code. I can't remember what the names of the episodes were, but there were some great ones for sure. Let's see. In the chat. Never had any comics graded, but I think I have about 5 worthy of grading. Any suggestions, directions? Yeah, I mean, I talked about it a couple times earlier in this video. I don't know, maybe if you want to catch the rewind, Edward, but I talked about, just figuring out like, okay, how much did you pay for them? What's the values, like back into the grading fees and the cost and the time, and figure out like, where you're going to be with it. And then ultimately decide, like, are you going to sell them? Because if you're not going to sell them, then you also don't have to grade them. It's a sunk cost for you. Let's see. Well, wow, chat, that makes me smile for sure. Let's see. Halo is an Australian comic grading company. The guy who runs it is a former CGC grader. There's also a location in Florida. Oh, okay. I didn't know about that. It's the first I'm hearing about it, so I'll have to do some research on it. But yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Here's my little picture of your comment, so I can remember to look it up for sure. Let's see. I see you have a lot of Liquid merch. Are you a fan, or do you work with them? New to the channel if this is known. Oh, well, yes. Who in the hell in this chance? I'm a fan of Liquid. I've done work with them before in the past, so I just happen to have a lot of their clothing. But yeah, I like video games. I play League of Legends as well, on top of WoW. So yeah, Team Liquid is my esports team that I root for. Yeah. So Vancouver picking up, yeah, everything gets options, sometimes as little as $1. Yeah. So, you can't go too hard, like take options in the way that you would take toy leaks, but everything starts with an option. So it's 100% possible that an option can turn into an actual show or movie. Do you think horror movie comics are worth investing in, since Texas Chainsaw Massacre just recently got a new movie and found out it has its own line of comics? That's a good question. I mean, like a comic is only as valuable. Like I always say, a comic is only as valuable as it is relevant to pop culture. So the fact that Texas Chainsaw Massacre got its movie means that that's going to create the surge in the market, or in the pop culture market, for the comic book. And so the question is like, okay, cool. Like, but is that pop culture machine that's going to create the demand going to continue to be there? Like, are we going to get a Texas Chainsaw Massacre cinematic universe? And if we're not, then it's not really going to move the needle. But like, for instance, like we saw that Matrix 1 book really, really go up super high in the market when we got the Matrix 4 film. But because the film kind of went where it did, it felt like that book really, really took a plunge. So it's entirely possible that something like that could happen. I mean, if you count Walking Dead for sure is kind of like a horror comic that went up in value. Let's see. I see Chameleon just got cast for the Craven movie. Yeah, that's kind of the big news today. Chameleon for sure got cast. And, maybe you guys want to spec on the Chameleon first appearance, ASM1, I definitely get that. Actually, I did kind of prepare this. Look at this. I'm going to go over here. I thought maybe we would talk about that. But I feel like if you're not going to get ASM1, first Chameleon, and you want to spec on a book, to me, this feels like the money book to get, right? Like the Amazing Spider-Man 80, it's not necessarily his first cover appearance. In fact, Tales to Astonish number 62 is his first cover appearance. Like that's Chameleon right there. So I don't know if we want to count that as like a hot spec because that's technically his first cover. But like if we're talking about like nice covers, like for sure, this is the one, right? ASM 80, this is probably the first legit cover with Chameleon on it. And I would imagine that this would be kind of a cool book to grab in the market. Do you think We Live or Stray Dogs will go anywhere? Both option, but have fantastic stories backing them. I mean, Stray Dogs, I think right now has the market has kind of dubbed that book like a hot key, or like we've put value on the Stray Dogs books. So I think like from here on out, whether it gets optioned or doesn't, like this is going to be a known indie series that comic collectors love, kind of like Something is Killing the Children. Like it almost doesn't matter what Something is Killing the Children does now. I think it's always going to be a valued book. Kind of like when we think about like indie books like Bone or what are some other like hot indies that don't really have properties yet? Like ones like that, like I think can sustain in value. So I think Stray Dogs is like grandfathered into being kind of a key book. We Live, I don't know as much about that one, but again, with these series, if it really comes down to like, are these series going to take the world by storm, or are they going to go the way of Jupiter's Legacy? And in some cases, it feels like a series can hurt values of books. Like nobody wants to touch those Jupiter Legacy books, which is pretty tragic, actually. Trilogy, another great live stream. Try Grand Scan. Peace out. Yeah, thanks for coming by. Let's see. Iron Man AI, maybe? Yeah. Oh, okay. Iron Man AI, possibly for sure. That seems like that could happen much sooner, for sure. Tom Cruise, Iron Man. I mean, look, like it's totally possible. And this is another one of those things where we talk about like canonizing the Omniverse. Like I'm sure Feige wants to do that. Like once upon a time, there were rumors that, he was going to play Iron Man Tom Cruise. So it's like in some other multiverse that actually happened. And if Feige can make that happen in Marvel, it makes a stronger brand overall. So I can see him wanting to make that happen for sure. I legit bought ASM 623 Saturday. It's funny. Automatic Comics sent me a picture of someone who bought it. So it must have been you. I went to the comic store where I got my vigilante book, and I went to the ASM section to see if they had that in stock, and they didn't. Otherwise, I would have bought it. Let's see what else. Thanks for the insight with the option properties. Might be worth making a deep dive video on recent option comics and which ones are definitely happening. Yeah, that could definitely be a good video. I would have to for sure. I for sure have to like do my research on that one and see which ones are happening for sure. But for sure, yeah, that would be a great video. All right, Troy, thank you so much for coming by. Let's see. I'm kind of amazed how few people are going after blade keys and mini keys these days. It seems like everyone waits till a trailer and it's too late. Yeah, it's crazy. Like it's one of those things where like you just never believe. Like how many times we all have those stories, right? Like how many times have you guys flipped past those books that you knew were Spec books. And then you always just thought to yourself, like, I'll get this later. Or like, I don't need to get this now. And you just never believe that that book is going to do what it does once that trailer comes out. And every single time it happens, every single time. It's like, we should all be buying She-Hulk books, you know, like right now we should all be buying Miss Marvel books. Oh, like I have this is one that I did for myself. And I think Miss Marvel's a little bit different, but this one right here, I bought this one the other day, this Ms. Marvel #6. This is the first appearance of Birdman, Thomas Edison, but it's like essentially like her bad guy, you know, and this is the run that came out in 2014, I believe it is. But I got this for a few dollars, and I've passed this book a couple times, and I think Miss Marvel's a little different because I'm not sure if that show is going to like be as popular as Moon Knight. But that's one where it's just like, I'm going to buy this because I just think that this one, like all the other ones, are going to pop off in the market. And I think it just every time it never fails to amaze, like how crazy these books go in the market. Desire, hit that like button. Yeah, thank you, Nigel. Let's see, Matthew here. Big congrats on 10K. Hey man, thanks, Matthew. Really appreciate that. What's your opinion on Vivi? Yeah, I've done some videos on the channel where I kind of go in depth on it, and you know, for me, like, again, I think that they can coexist. I think having a collectible market for NFTs and VV and stuff, like, I think NFTs for sure are the future. I don't know if VV is going to be the one that sticks around, but they have all the IPs, and you know, it seems like people like it so far. You know, it's speculative, but I think that there's a subset of people that really enjoy them. And for me, I've picked up a few just for fun. I haven't put like a ton of money in it, but I bought the comics that were like untouchable, like ASM 1, Fantastic Four 1, things like that. Like, and it seems to be, you know, tracking that the comics that the normal collector would have a hard time buying are the ones that are most valuable on the app. So to me, it feels like, oh, that's kind of like a fun way for me to own the first Doctor Doom, you know, as a book that I'm never going to actually own in real life, or never say never, but like, you know, it's going to be hard for me to get an FF5, but I bought it on VB, and you know, it's just for fun for me. So I think that they're cool, and I don't think that one has to replace the other. ASM 365 or Spider-Man 2099, which book finishes highest? They're both $25. That's a good question. What do you guys think? Like, to me, ASM 365 is the safer choice. What I mean by that is it's an ASM book. So outside of what happens with Into the Spider-Verse 2 and all that stuff, people will always still kind of want to own ASM 365 because it's a nostalgia book. It's an ASM run. People collect Spider-Man. It's got those hologram covers, so people like to have all 4 of those hologram covers, like to collect the set. Whereas Spider-Man 2099, great book, great cover, and people love to have, you know, the character on the cover. But to me, the safer bet, like if I was going to really spec on it hard, I probably would just go with the ASM 365 personally. Let's see. Azrael, thank you. Great work. Thank you. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Kamikaze, you know, I count all my pages of my older book now. I know that's painful for you. Yes. Yeah, I know. It's really sad. And you know what? I got to be honest. I'm definitely like in the market for, not in the market, but like I would consider getting another Avengers 8 for myself. So I'm slowly looking. We'll see. Liquid's collab with the Japanese Spider-Man show is dope. Yeah, Liquid, they do a lot of great stuff with their collabs and all the stuff. Let's see what else here. Blah, blah, blah. So I was going to call it. Dan, thank you so much for stopping by. If you're still here, you know, I'm still back on the chat here. Hyper Combo Comics. Hey, Hyper, what's going on? Hey, Swag in chat. If you guys don't know Hyper Combo Comics, another great content creator. I mean, he's definitely on Instagram. Go follow him there. He does the show with Newbie a lot. He's got his own YouTube channel, and he recently picked up I was going to say massive grails. He got some big ones here. So I don't know, Hyper, if you're going to like have the official like video for it or something, but I feel like we kind of need that. But we can navigate over to the live stream as well and watch the replay, I guess. I can't afford to do CGC. Is there a reputable option? Well, Sean, there's some other grading companies like EGS that have popped up in the market. EGS grading. I don't know what their grading fees are off the top of my head. They could be similar in cost, but they seem like a good alternative. Like, they've really been doing good things in the community. And if you just want your comic slabbed because you like the presentational part of it, I would definitely check out EGS. Hey Swag, what do you think about Astonishing Tales first issue as good long-term investment? Astonishing Tales, is that the Doctor Doom one? Is that, wait, let me just quickly Google this. Tales 1. Oh yeah. The Khazar and Doctor Doom one. I think it could be a good book for sure. Like, I think that I don't know off the top of my head if there's like a specific key factor to it, but there's been a lot of conversation about Khazar. There's been a lot of, obviously we're going to get Doctor Doom at some point, just when, who knows? But let's say that they decide to bring in Khazar or Khazar, however you pronounce it, and the Savage Land and stuff. And let's say that, like, let's take all the rumors and have them align, that Doctor Doom is going to be brought in through the Black Panther universe, right? That's been a lot of people's speculation. There's been rumors about that. And then they bring in Khazar and they do the Savage Land, and that has some ties to, the Black Panther universe too, which other people have talked about. That book right there has like that, like all that, all those cross sections occurring in it, right? You have Doom and Khazar and Savage Land and all that stuff. So I think at that point, that will be when that book hits peak value. And then over the long term, it's a nice, cool Bronze Age book. So could be a good pickup for sure. Cheers, Swag's getting away. Yeah, Adam, thank you so much for coming by. I appreciate it. Let's see. Yeah. Hyper's not going to be buying. If you guys saw his Grail pickup, I mean, it was like great. It was a big pickup. Like, you're going to be at that McDonald's dollar menu for a while. Congrats to 10K. Hey, appreciate that. Let's see. I've been buying any Blade, Tomb of Dracula books, keys with Blade anytime I see a good deal. Yeah, I think Blade books for sure, right? Like Vancouver Comic Junkie has been saying, it's like what we're talking about, where it's like, we all know it's coming, right? We all know Blade's coming, but we're not ready. Like clockwork, once we see a trailer of whatever he's in, or he does something cool, or let's say he cameos in Moon Knight, right? He's going to have some awesome entrance at the end of a final episode where he like cuts some dude's head off or some vampire's head off and then says, some badass one-liner, and then the show ends and literally everyone's going to hit buy it now on eBay. So I think Blade books for sure are smart pickups. Yeah, it is a pricey book. Blade books are pricey, but there's some good ones out there, and second appearance of Blade, I think is one. I think it's Tomb of Dracula 12. I think that's another good book to look out for, the second appearance. Intended to get Morbius Revisited issue 1 because of the cool cover with the moon in the background to flip. Not sure if it pay off though. It's harder to say. Like, this is where we start to kind of dip into that, like do the Sony verse books move the needle? Now, if we're thinking about Venom stuff, like Venom books definitely moved. But off the top of my head, I don't know what the Morbius 1 book is. So I'd have to look at it. But let's say Morbius is hot, the movie's good. I think Morbius covers will move for sure. With so much spec the last few years, I forgot about books all the time. Then something happens and I think, oh yeah, that's what, like it just, like how everything can't be top of mind. Everything can't be top of mind. It's hard to say. Spider-Man 29, no doubt. The Spider-Man 29 cover alone is better. That cover is better. But I'm just talking about like the safer play, in my opinion, would be the ASM book. Congrats on 10K. Thank you, Gold Gauntlet. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Oh, Noah Urbano, what's going on, man? Hey, Swag, any luck finding a good Daredevil 8? And follow up, do you think Stiltman will show up in the coming Daredevil projects? I mean, I did find that Daredevil 8 book. It's out of reach right now, but I did get my hand on the Stiltman book. It's like a VG plus, so it's not like crazy, but I think you got one. I'm pretty sure you told me about that. And yeah, Stiltman, I mean, look, there was that thing where it's like they couldn't use Stiltman in the MODOK show because there was a bunch of like B, C tier villains in that show, and they couldn't use Stiltman. And I feel like there's a reason for that. Now, that doesn't mean that Stiltman is coming. It just means that, you know, I was doing some research on this and I like found out like this is like how the Marvel stuff works is that, you know, when the filmmakers are pitching on their ideas and stuff, you get these world guides. And like I've gotten them before in my work and stuff. And it's like, here's where we kind of see this film. Here's the character that we want to make a thing for. Here's important things to take away from their character. Here's who we think they are. Here's where we think their story could go, et cetera, et cetera. And then you as the filmmaker, writer, creative, whoever, you're going to pitch back to them your version of it, right? So maybe on this world guide, when people are pitching, like whoever right now is pitching on, you know, whatever Daredevil project is out there, they probably see that it's like, you know, in his thing is like, Daredevil is this to us. He stands for justice. You know, the irony of him being blind, but he works for the department, and he, you know, goes and serves, you know, vigilante justice at night, but in the courtroom in the day. And here are his villains. And we think Bullseye could be a thing. We think Kingpin can go a guy. And then there's some other things like Stiltman. And it's like the filmmakers could pick, like say like, oh, I have an idea for Stiltman or whatever. They can utilize those things. So while I don't think that Stiltman is necessarily like number one for their plans, I think that the reason why they probably didn't use him in MODOK is because they say, oh, we have these like 5 characters that we know we want to utilize within context of Daredevil. So you never really know. I mean, if you get like a James Gunn type of person who works on Daredevil, like Stiltman would be the character that James Gunn would totally bring in. I got an Avengers 8 coverless, but wait $30 for it. $30 for paid for $30. Dude, Hyper, let me get that and take your ad page and marry it to my Avengers 8. And then we can have a complete book together. That'd be awesome. What's the general thought about Sony building out their own Spider-Verse? Is Madam Web or Sony property? If so, are we expecting Spider-Man or Spider-Woman? Well, 100% Sony is building out like their verse, right? And the thing with them is it's like, they're going to want, like, it's so fruitful, this endeavor, right? Like they're making so much money that for them, it's like, they would love to have their own MCU. And even though it's been a great partnership, like if Sony can do it where they have 100% autonomy over it, they're going to do that. Now, for now, it's sort of in the interest of both companies to work together. And it's what the fans want too. Like, you know, that's important. I think that they listen to the fans. But for sure, like if Sony can make Morbius a thing and they can make Madam Web a thing, then 100% they will make a Spider-Gwen movie. They will make a Spider-Woman movie, and they'll try to get their own Spider universe going. So if they can create these characters to be A-tier characters, they will do that. Now, at the end of the day, to me, it's like characters are only as good as the creators who are working on them, right? And I think that's true in comic books as well, right? Like if you got good writer, good artist, that to me is almost more important than the character I'm reading. You know, so like I'm not a huge Venom fan, but when Donny Cates is writing Venom, I'm like, hey, I really enjoy this. So like hopefully Sony just finds that magic touch in finding the right filmmakers for the properties. And if they can do that, they can make a great show. Who is your favorite Beast Wars character? My favorite was what, Cheetor? Cheetor. Is that him? Cheetor is my favorite Dino, the Autobot. And then the other one was who was the one that was God, I can't remember. Who's the one that was effectively Starscream? The flying one. who like Waspinator. Waspinator was 100% my favorite. You know, B tier villains, right? You gotta love that. Let's see. If Stiltman shows up, I could see him appearing at the beginning of Daredevil episode before the initial credits. That would be awesome. Yeah, I think that there will be some kind of Easter egg towards Stiltman. I could definitely see that. Appreciate you, Swag. When we talk about this Grail, yeah, like maybe we should do something. We gotta figure it out. We could talk. Maybe we should do like a video on Grails. Like just that could be the topic. I could share the Avengers thing. You can talk about this, and we can just figure out some kind of video, because I think that'd be good to talk about. Because even when you were asking me about it, and just like the thought behind it and everything like that, that could be something I think we could put back out to the community that might be helpful for people who are about to make that plunge. Anybody, hey, Baydecker, or anybody you recommend for pressing before grading? There's been a lot of great, I would go into Instagram and see who are some of the pressers out there. Like maybe just find some of those hashtags and use some. I think that there's some great people online. I just got my books pressed by someone locally in LA, and they did a great job as well. But like, I know that there are people out there who are like the pressers of pressers. So maybe if people in the chat have good ideas as well. Which is the better long-term hold, ASM 129 or Giant Size X-Men? Probably Giant Size X-Men 1 is probably the better long-term hold. I mean, I think we're going to get peak X-Men fervor before we get peak Punisher fervor. But on the other hand, ASM historically is the run of runs. But just in a vacuum, just not knowing any of the numbers and stuff, to me, I would pick X-Men. Yeah. I'm specking hard New Avengers 44. Hey, Matthew, what's going on? Yeah, dude, I think that that's a great spec, personally. I think it's such a good buy. I can't believe, I'm surprised how cheap the book is, like right now. Like I would think that it would be like that $25, $30 book, but I see copies on eBay for like 15. Which is crazy. And it feels like we're getting Secret Invasion at some point. So why wouldn't we get Ferengi? I think we see the Savage Land in the latest Doctor Strange trailer. Did we see it? Oh, I need to go look that up. For sure. Scott agrees. Giant Size X-Men here. Let's see. Stiltman, due to his appearance on Netflix, had to wait until the Netflix license expire first. Stiltman equals Kite Man. Oh, is that what they did? I didn't realize that. That's super interesting. Okay, so had to wait until the Netflix license expire first. Okay, well, you know, sometimes that's the other thing too. Is like sometimes these legal issues are really the reasons why we don't get certain characters. Derek, congrats on the 10K swaggle. I'll take the 181 off your hands. I don't have one, unfortunately, but you know, if I had one to sell, yeah, we could definitely talk about it. I did pick up Daredevil 8. Looks like a nice, 7.0 upgrade my first. Yeah, dude, that must look nice. It's an amazing cover. Like all jokes aside, such a great cover, such an awesome cover. While joining our Avengers 8 books together like Voltron. Yeah, we could have one complete Avengers book together. Although I still think that even with married pages, I think you get a green label, which is sad. It feels like it should be restored, for sure. Any opinion on UK price variance for Silver Age stuff? So I actually did make a video on my channel. Maybe if you just YouTube search Swaggle Haas pence variants or UK variants or something, it would pop up. And I did talk about them. And it was my opinion that at some point in the future, they might be more desirable than the US stuff. But I could be totally wrong. But to me, it shouldn't really matter. Like if you're someone like, when you're buying like the variants and stuff, like to me, it's great Silver Age book is a great Silver Age book. I could just see a world where like a certain amount of like influencers or chain events happen to where it's like the pence variants become the new craze and take over the world or take over the comic world. Yes, Waspinator, so good. Rat Trap was also great. I mean, Rat Trap was like the most effective Autobot. Looks like your wall is starting to get a few slabs. Have you gotten these since your video with Bright Comics a while ago, or have you had these for a while? A lot of these are pretty new. Like, some of the books I've gotten over the last year, but I did a CGC submission just the other week, and so I had my unboxings and stuff. If you want to watch that one, so yeah, I got a few more slabs, but I'm also like, I'm good for a little bit. It gets expensive and they take up a lot of room. Here we go. Vancouver says, go to Lenny and Michael at Spineworks for great pressing. Also, Erod. Oh, yeah, Erod, I do hear does great work as well. And he's got a YouTube channel, so definitely check him out. So he knows what's up for sure. Another one, Greg Gurr at Greg and Greg Pressing on Facebook. The wacky new logo could affect the ASM 129 thing. Yeah, that's the other thing too, is like, as far as like, long-term future, it's like, probably everyone in the chat and people like our age, like we grew up with Punisher. Like people forget, like in the 90s and 80s, like Punisher was like one of the biggest characters there was. And so he's really fallen not out of favor, but he just like isn't as big as he once was. Like his star has kind of faded a little bit. So it feels like we're going to get peak fervor for X-Men sooner than that. Let's see. I'm almost caught up with the chat here. Why do you guys think New Avengers 6 is more expensive than 4 on the Maria Hill spec? Why do you think New Avengers 6 is more expensive than 4 on the Maria Hill spec? What's the New Avengers 6? Wait, I got to look this up. New Avengers 6, because what you're saying, like I think that New Avengers 4 should be the spec book for sure, right? Is she on the cover of New Avengers 6? I don't know. I hadn't specifically heard that, so I don't know why that's the case. But to me, 4 should be the Maria Hill spec, in my opinion. The Illuminati are scrolls, baby. Maybe this is the thing with the scrolls. Like, who's the character that's going to be the big twist that we find out is a scroll? That's what I think is like. We're going to get Secret Invasion. And then who's going to be the big twist? Certainly it can't be like just someone that they randomly, like just they put someone in the show and then randomly it's like, okay, like that's who it's going to be. Like, I mean, I feel like we need to, I feel like we would need to have like someone who has been in the MCU for a while to actually become like the twist reveal. So I don't know. Eric Frame, you are my favorite YouTuber. Oh, thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. Keith with it. Yes, he uses Spineworks as well. So another cosign right there. Anybody else love the Spec game? I like it because other books get ignored and allow me to get other cool books on that no one is thinking about. Yeah. I mean, I talked about this a little bit with the Spec, where it's like, I think one of the cool things about Spec is that it makes you look at other series you wouldn't normally look at, or makes you kind of dig into reading. Ironically enough, like you dig into the lore and the character and the stuff. So that's kind of one of the fun things about Spec, is that it makes you look at things that you would normally not look at. I'm not going to lie. I can't wait to see Throg arrive in the MCU. Seriously, think of the marketing. That's that's actually a really great point. Like if they make Throg like have a moment in like Thor 4 or whatever, or if they bring him in What If, or the What If character, or Multiverse or something, and he has like a cool moment, like he could 100% sell 1 million pop toys and things like that, like Baby Groot. So that'd be pretty crazy. All right. Like Punisher miniseries 1 and first ongoing series got both a good price a while ago. The heat was on Venom. Yeah. Like a lot of these Punisher books are falling under the radar. I think like even that Punisher run, like the 1987 one, like think of how many, there's so few keys. Like there are keys, but there's so few keys that people chase in that run right now because just nobody's looking at it. And it's like, there's got to be a treasure trove of books that eventually are like dollar books now that will become like $25, in the future. All right. I think I've been going 2 hours. Oh my God. So I might wrap this up soon. So we'll get in the last couple of questions before I head to bed here. So Origin Comics, there are 2 untitled MCU movies in November 2023 and February 2024, probably Blade and Fantastic Four. Is it too late to buy into those keys now at current prices? No, I mean, like, it's hard to say. It's like a couple different factors, right? Like, I always talk about on the channel, like looking at comps and really trying to understand like support levels and things like that for comic books. And I know it's very, very technical, but that's one thing to consider for sure when you're going to buy these big first appearances. But if history shows, like, the values of those books are going to go up, like, once we get trailers for those movies. Like, we've not seen Blade, we've not seen a Fantastic Four trailer. Once we get those trailers, people are going to get mass FOMO, mass hysteria, and 100% you will be able to get a return on that money. But on the flip side, everyone knows those characters are coming, and maybe some of the values are already at speculative levels. So you just got to do a little bit of research. But I would say that in general, it's not too late to jump on those books for sure, especially if they're going to be long-term holds. Also, like, Predator is a cool book to grab and been on the hunt. Yeah, the Predator books, the Alien books, a lot of that dark horse stuff is great for sure. Dude, Talos Spec, so underrated. The Hulk wedding cover. Yeah, those books are, you know, people forget like that's Talos' first appearance and stuff like that. And I feel like that's going to be another one of those books that everyone forgets. And then we're going to get the week of Secret Invasion, or we're going to get the first trailer for Secret Invasion, and everyone's going to go nuts for that book. Get those Thor's 364s. Yeah, 100%. Whoever you go with pressing and cleaning, you need to develop a good relationship. If you're an avid collector, they have to take care. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that's great advice because, you know, you can get pressing done and then you can get pressing from the homie, you know, where it's like really great care with the pressing. You know, you want them to get all those little creases and everything done. So definitely building that relationship, like anything, like with like a comic book dealer and stuff. All right, last couple of things. Let me just rapid fire. Do you have a favorite DC character? Any love for the Dark Knight? Favorite DC character? I mean, Batman, not a cool answer. Batman for sure is my favorite DC character. But if I'm very interested in learning about Green Lantern, like either the Hal Jordan or the John Stewart Green Lantern. I like the cosmic stuff, so I would very much want to get more into that. Have three of the Police of the Cover appearance. Yep. Disney owns Aliens Predator rights right now. Is that correct? I think that's true. Or no, the Predator rights just transferred over to someone, so someone else might be doing it. All right. Well, I think that is it for me. Thank you all so much again for joining me on the stream. You know, it's just an impromptu thing, just doing a little Q&A, talking with you guys. So happy that people were able to hang out. And yeah, thank you all for supporting the channel. We got to 10K, so pretty cool. You know, never thought we would be here. So really appreciate all the support. And yeah, we definitely do this again. I'll try to do more streams in the future, maybe have on some more guests. Streams are always like more fun because we just get to talk and hang out and stuff like that. So I'm going to call it tonight, guys. Thank you all for coming by, and I will see you in the next stream. See ya.